Once again, I'm repeating for those who just joined. Welcome everyone to the 21st of March. This is the second Friday of the Metaverse Fashion Metaverse Conference. We're going to be focusing today on education and Web3. I'm your moderator. My name is Aditya. We had a informal kickoff before the recording, and now we're repeating it for those who are coming into the spatial rooms. We're going to be starting off at 6:10 p.m. with a panel moderated by Rupert Breheny. We also have present Paula, Anish, Marcela, as well as Stella. We're all going to be present. They're going to be focusing on collaborative intelligence, especially the focus of where human and AI, what's the right balance that we're going to be striking. We're then going to have another half an hour, and then we're going to have another talk at 6:40 p.m., which is going to be a speech on Web3 education by Ornella Vallana. She's a Web3 educator, Web3 marketing expert, as well as a person focusing on bankless marketing. 7 p.m. CET, we have Sagar Verma, who's a researcher, academician, as well as a lecturer from the National Institute of Fashion Technology, India. He's going to be giving a speech on the fashion metaverse and the digital renaissance. 7:20 p.m., we're going to have a panel between Wei Zhu as well as Serena Deng. Wei Zhu is going to be representing the art Fungible, he's the founder and CEO. And Serena Deng is representing as the ecosystem lead for the CancerDAO. And they're really focusing on how to build a DAO. As I'd mentioned before, it's really going to be very useful because this is a DAO which has perhaps survived the DAOs which have come and gone. So it would be a very interesting conversation to hear. 7:45 p.m., Kaveh Bulambo is going to be talking on women in tech, a TEDx speaker, founder, talent expert, cultural transformation advocate, as well as community builder. That should be very interesting. And 8:05 CET, we have a panel which is again divided into two parts. The first part is going to be a collaboration between myself, Aditya Mani, Jens Logesen, Costantino Rosselli, and we're going to be talking about how, we're going to be bringing in fashion, technology, and community and creating an interesting multi-city experience. And then after that, we're going to have a 10-minute session where James Gorbert and I are going to be focusing on what is it that he's done for avatar fashion for playable worlds. The entire section is titled Bridging Avatar Fashion to Playable Worlds. And 8:40 CET, Grace, also known as Rebecca Rachmani, is going to be focusing on DAOs and governance, and is going to be doing a workshop on the road to DAOs. So once again, two important talks on DAOs. So I think that would be very interesting. 9 p.m. CET, we've got Extraordinary Kami, who's going to be present either as an avatar or in person and going to be giving a speech on Web3 and human identity. Extraordinary Kami focuses on XR, AI, and Metaverse trend foresight. 9:20 CET, Kirale Cheer is Italy's first virtual idol and is going to be giving us a live concert or a meta concert. It's going to be called Kirale Cheer's Meta Concert, and that's going to be a very exciting, conversation concert and conversation that we're going to have. So I'd request the panelists to, put on their cameras. I'd be introducing them soon because the first panel is going to be starting very soon. We have the moderator, Rupert Breheny. I know you've been with Google, and I know you can give us a good introduction. We also have Paula, who's an academician, as well as done a ton of stuff for digital fashion, as well as the fashion ecosystem as well. Anish has had a good exposure both with brands, with the agency side of stuff. He runs a fashion brand. He also does metaverse experiences, some really interesting stuff that he will be talking to us about. And Marcela focuses on inclusion of avatars as well as inclusion of fashion. And Stella, of course, runs the Alana Collective, if I've got that right. And she'll be talking about, oh, I got that wrong. Okay, the Alana project. Yeah. So yeah, she's going to be talking to us about that. So I'm going to go on off camera and I'm going to give it over to Rupert so that you can take it over from here.
Right. Thank you very much for the warm introduction, Aditya. This is a fun one. I love that we get to kick off the evening, but we're talking about collaborative intelligence. And it's one of the words I like. There's a lot of fear out there about AI, but if we see it as a collaborative partner, you know, this idea that we can be augmented and supplemented instead of replaced, I think this is the right approach. And I think we've all heard this is almost like a, you know, one of these pithy quotes now that we will not be replaced by AI, but somebody using AI. And I think everybody here from their day-to-day work and their vision of the future is using it in interesting ways, which is great, and very much the pathfinders. And I think we need more of that. As you so kindly pointed out, yes, I was at Google for 16 years. Part of that period was working with some fashion retailers. And so I helped them embrace emerging technology to make their e-tail websites more sticky, bigger conversions, bigger baskets, stuff like this. That was kind of fun, and they're starting to get to grips with it. And so there's a lot of really great creative technologists here. And I run an AI consultancy firm called Cobalt now. So we're your friends in the AI business, and we help you integrate AI to make and save money. But I'm joined by an incredibly illustrious panel, and we're going to go through one by one, and I'm going to invite them to tell us a little bit about what they're doing in their companies or in their day-to-day. And I'll let Paula, let me start with you, because we had a lovely coffee a little while back, and you are just a font of knowledge in this space. I'd love to hear more about that.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Rupert, and it's great to be here. So I'm Paula. I'm a PhD researcher in circular tech and post-consumer recycling, a lecturer in sustainability and digital transformation, and recently I founded a company called FiberChain. So we look at tokenization and textiles. So it's a combination of AI, blockchain, digital twinning for repurposed fabrics, and that's fairly new. So really happy to be here and looking forward to discussing some interesting topics.
Thank you. And Anish, we had a little brief for those that joined us a little early. We got some insights into some of the stuff that you're doing, and I know you're very invested in the metaverse. Please tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, hi everyone. So my name is Anish, and so we have been working in the space of metaverse since 2019, and very soon you're going to be seeing one of the biggest metaverse space in spiritual. So we are coming up with metagod.ai, which is going to be, taking away everything you can think of a god can interact with, or you can interact with God. So just to give you an example, we are building one of the tallest temples of the world in metaverse in association with ISKCON in India. And we have also used AI to create the meta god, and using his original voice, we have created, so because he left us way back, like 20 years back, but now all the devotees around the world will be able to see him inaugurating that temple again, and they can have one-on-one conversation with him. So it's going to be a very interesting project. It not just give you a spiritual journey, but we have also implemented fashion with it, because in India, the deity's clothes is a big business. So you can imagine that sitting in New York, you can actually give or donate deity's clothes in this virtual temple.
So I'm intrigued by this. I have no doubt that we will see a rise of digital gods and
Yes.
who knows what else. So I recommend, if anybody's got Netflix, there's a great show called Pantheon. Highly recommend it. It's a very, very interesting take on what the future could look like. Stella, you have some remarkable content. Anybody that isn't following Stella on Instagram really should, because as we said before, it's a breath of fresh air. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about the design work you're doing currently.
Yeah, sure. Actually, I'm not doing much design work these days. I've kind of like, I guess, evolved is maybe the right word. So I come from a fashion design background. I studied fashion design many years back at the University of Applied Arts in Vienna. I worked in fashion. I ended up enjoying the work, just not the environment, to truth be told. And then I discovered on my way to actually work on a game design portfolio, I discovered the metaverse and everything connected, right? So I stumbled into blockchain technology and Web3 overall. And this is also when I founded my project, but because I felt these tools can be very empowering to creators if someone helps them explain these tools, right? And how they can potentially adapt them. And so these days, I'm actually lead steward at Unlock Protocol DAO. Unlock Protocol is a decentralized open source protocol that lets you, as a very normal user, deploy your own smart contract. And I'm spearheading still the Vallana project because I still think that's very necessary to do and help more creators use the tools that I have discovered for myself along the way. That's the short one.
Brilliant. Thank you. I think the key to integration is education for a lot of people, and the fact that you're sharing that, real step up. There's a lot of people, when you see a new industry like this, they want to kick the ladder out, and the fact that you're actually offering a helping hand for people to get involved, I think is terrific. Marcela, you also have an absolutely beautiful Instagram feed. Some of it is a little challenging, I'll be honest, but you've got a long history of doing great 3D design work, which is obviously exactly what we need for the metaverse. Tell us a little bit about your artistic practice, if you could.
First, so happy to be here. Thanks for your kind words. My name is Marcela. I'm a 3D artist and digital fashion designer. I have a background in advertisement and traditional fashion, but I think most of, like everybody else, I switched during the pandemic to the 3D environment. My work's basically focused on, I work with a lot of clients developing 3D assets, implementing them on multiple platforms, more focused on fashion and gaming, I must say. And I love creating characters and shaping digital identities to be in a more inclusive narrative and storytelling.
Thank you so much. And we're definitely going to come back and ask you a little bit more about that. So listen, I've got a special question for all of you, but we've got a few generalist questions in there. So feel free to jump in the order you decide. Collaborative intelligence. All right. Well, that's an interesting, it's a great catchphrase, but what does it mean for you? What does your daily collaboration look like for AI? Is it chatbots? Is it large language models? Is it image generation or diffusion models? What does AI look like for you at the moment?
So if I have to speak about this, I'm sorry. So, for day-to-day life, when we are working with a lot of brands, so for them, AI is now or in future is going to be a big, big thing. I mean, we have been seeing a shift where we have seen, like Marcela just mentioned, creating a 3D models of influencers and how they are going to promote the brand in virtual space is what I think is going to be the big, big thing. And, we have been working day and night out to create those avatars and create those realistic artists.
Got it. Thank you. I think I'm actually looking at the chat just now. I think Stella, you were going to jump in on this one?
Yeah, I did not know the rules because some people like to do these virtual panels where people raise hands, others don't. So I'm raising hands.
That totally works. Please do.
Yeah, I think there's it's a little bit multifaceted, right? So I think current collaboration for most creatives or even like regular people is almost like an upgrade to Google, right? Where it's like, okay, give me knowledge, fill in the gaps that I don't know. For creators, I think it goes a little bit deeper, where it's almost like your own personal assistant that you can just drop ideas on and exchange. How could these ideas look in a refined manner, or what other ideas could come out of this original idea? So it's like an augmentation, how you described it before. But I think the true excitement for me starts with the agentic AI, right? Where it's all about very specific niche tasks. So if we look at creators, and you mentioned, Marcela's and my Instagram account, which I truly did not enjoy putting together, right? So the thing is, right, as a creator, you always need to be out there. You always need to be present. You always need to do the latest thing to be recognized for what you already know, right? What you're already really good at. So these agentic AIs, in my opinion, can fill the gaps that we really don't want to do, because creators just want to create, right? If we don't create, we kind of wither away, if that makes sense. So I think, you know, filling in those gaps, if you look at Virtual's protocol, for example, blockchain-based protocol that, you know, resolves some issues around these like personal AI agents, they can post for you on decentralized social, right? They can observe your work that you're doing if you allow it to do that. They can summarize your day for you. And then you just need to say like, okay, yeah, I confirm, please just post this, right? Or please just cut and edit something automatically together and get it out on TikTok so I don't have to do it. So I think this is where the story actually starts to become very interesting.
Any other takers, or we move on a little bit? Yeah, Paula, please.
Yeah, so we're the AI app queen. There's actually a module called Generative AI App. So yeah, I mean, my students, we use it for academic writing, which is absolutely brilliant. Creating new business models, you know, for textiles and tokenomics. Like I remember putting in textiles and crypto economics and where was the sweet spot. Also because my students are retail and marketing people, they're not designers, so they're having loads of fun with prompt engineering. So they're coming out with creating their own little fashion designs, even though they're not fashion designers. So we feel AI has really helped the retail and marketing fashionistas who are wannabe designers. So we're all buzzing with excitement because we've got so many apps. And then for the avatars, a lot of my students they're kind of into Web3 now, so they don't like using their own faces. So they like to train avatars and ChatGPT agents. So yeah, I mean, I even in academia and, you know, teaching, I mean, AI has completely changed even how I teach. Death of the lecturer is coming, death of the PowerPoint. So I'm using ChatGPT in my classes for prompting for better presentations and so on. So absolute complete game changer. And, you know, I'm really preparing my students not for a job, because we don't know what the jobs will be in 4 to 5 years. It's more about solving problems, asking questions, and interacting with various tools to create new things. So it's been amazing for us, very exciting and inclusive, which is fun.
You know, I love you've said this, and I might prompt you a little further on this one, because I think a lot of people in academia, there was this almost moral panic about the sense that ChatGPT will be writing essays. But we also know this is the future of our interaction with computers. Was there some pushback to actually incorporating that to this degree, or did you just know this was it? And how did you push that through into the curriculum?
So we have this thing called, well, first we've all been retrained. So we have to go back and do retraining on how we deliver lectures and set authentic assessments. So in the assessments, there has to be an element of, like, we've changed how we teach, we've changed how we assess. So we know that AI is playing a part, and I give marks for using it, but it's really, we can't stop it. All we can do is understand how to use it and how to mark accordingly. And that's, you know, that's why our new course is happening, and we have an official generative AI module inside our digital fashion degree starting in September. So I got loads of pushback, but, you know, I've been doing this a while, so I was one of the kind of pioneers. But it's how we assess and how we teach, because at the end of the day, you still need people for storytelling. Fashion's about cultural expression. Fashion's about critical thinking and solving real world problems. It's purpose driven. So the students have to be able to sit down and critically think, well, you know, this was created by generative AI and this was created by me. So they can actually see in my presentation sometimes when a ChatGPT has hallucinated something. So we often have a little giggle about that. But the main thing is critical thinking skills. Was it generated by AI or not? Can I use it? So that's where we're at the moment. But no, academia, look, Harvard, all of them, we're embracing it. We just have to figure out that, you know, we're changing how we assess and how we teach.
Got it. So I'm going to myself dig a bit deeper in that moral panic thing. One thing, right, we're talking about fashion and AI, and something that maybe some of you remember from a couple of years ago. Levi Strauss had famously come out. They had a press release extolling the virtues of their diversity and the representation of people of different skin tones and whatnot. And of course, what they were referring to is a virtual influencer who was slightly darker complexioned than what they'd had up to that point, but was completely synthetic. And so there was this massive backlash, and they very quickly, like there's a press release that went out, I think on April the 7th, 2023, and then April the 8th, they're kind of this groveling apology for them reading the room wrong and just saying, okay, that wasn't the intention, but we apologize for any offense. Now you have companies like Mango who have teams dedicated to building these tools internally to create virtual models with a certain amount of diversity. I think there was very little virtue signaling around it, but they're actually quite beautiful images. And they're the kind of thing that, you know, could kind of pass for realistic. But I wonder if you've seen anybody in this space, particularly in fashion, that you feel has used these tools in an authentic manner. Who has impressed you, and what were the campaigns that you really liked? And this is open to anybody, so please feel free to raise your hand. Anish, thank you.
So, I mean, recently I saw Nike coming up with their new shoes launch in Metaverse, and how they actually created an entire experience where, you know, actually see how it looks on your feet and how you actually, you know, gonna look with different attire. I mean, that was beautifully captured. And so I really love that campaign.
Yeah, I think one of the, for those of us who've been around since like pre-metaverse but AR, VR days, the beautiful thing about shoes is they're relatively hard. There's no like cloth dynamics if you need to simulate it. And so it lends itself quite well to virtual try on. I think even Amazon had a, you know, look at your feet and drop some shoes on there. I think Google has something coming out soon as well. Have you used AR or the metaverse in a shopping experience yet? Because I know Nike had an experience in Roblox, and that was another part of this brand extension. Are you seeing this done well? I think Burberry had a virtual AR bag you could take pictures of you carrying and stuff like that. Who do you think is getting this right just now?
I wouldn't know of anyone who gets it right just now, but it's I think because we're at the precipice of all of this, I think we have a huge responsibility for doing it right? So the backlash that you just mentioned from a few years ago, it's still a very relevant discussion to have, I think, right? Because we actually have a chance to work, for example, with models, doesn't matter if they're colored or not, but work with them together and get them paid, right? For lending their face for a campaign. Because like all of these images that we are producing now with AI, and that theoretically we don't hold any IP over, they are not necessarily produced in a fair manner, right? So when you go out as a company and you want to use these tools on a regular basis, I think you have a huge responsibility for training your models with data where people actually got paid for lending their faces, right? This is where also blockchain could prove to be very useful, to be honest. But yeah, and Anish, sorry.
Since we're talking about avatars, guys, you know, if you look at Colony, you familiar with Colony, Rupert? It's the Irish company, right? Yes, that's Aileen and Co. And yeah, right. And they gave birth to their avatars from another planet. So I don't think these avatars are associated with gender or humans. They're different species completely. So it's a nice way of avoiding cultural appropriation or misrepresentation. It's a brand new species. So people can, you know, completely, you know, you can rent, I think it's you can rent the baby Aya or whatever it is for a campaign. But again, I think that was genius, Aileen coming up with the idea of a non-human species that was born in the metaverse. So maybe that's the way around it.
You know, that really segues nicely into Marcela's work. The stuff I've seen of Colony, that's kind of, some of it is a little bit frightening, but it's a sort of challenging idea. One thing I'm not so keen on, a lot of the fashion prompts you see in my LinkedIn feed, certainly Instagram, they're just very beautiful. They're very like traditional, the aesthetic, the cheekbones, the, you know, the body weight and all the rest of it. You know, I wouldn't say it's particularly diverse in terms of, you know, beauty standards. Marcela, I feel this is something you're directly commenting on or challenging with the work that you do. would you like to tell us maybe your frustrations with how beauty is portrayed in the media just now, and what you're doing maybe to kind of mix it up a little bit?
Yes, I personally love this topic. I think AI, especially when we think about digital fashion, kind of produce overly polished images and they are aesthetically the same, right? So if you're going to think about digital identities and bringing awareness to this AI bias and those crazy standards, we also have to think in a way to create and produce more images, that could be inside this new narrative and more inclusive narrative, because if we humans are the curators and the visual curators, we are producing stuff, we are gathering information, we are producing stuff based on cultural aspects or past life experiences, and AI isn't this augmented tool that comes to refine our curation. We have to produce those images accordingly, especially as women. I think we should be very self-aware of our images and how beauty is portrayed. I love to say also an example by Dove, this huge beauty company. They did a campaign called Keep Beauty Real. And inside this campaign, they also brought the awareness, to the AI bias, and they trained their own tool and developed a real beauty playbook prompt. You can go to the website and download to use it, and they generate a bunch of images, and it's super comforting to see because all of the images you can see women different ages and skin positivity and wrinkles even, so you can identify yourself with those images, and they are generated by AI. So I love this example by then. It's fascinating because I think inside the digital space we have so much to explore. Let's not put the beauty in a box, or we should be creating or putting images out there that question us, like what beauty means for you, what digital beauty means for us, or once we are gone, how this digital beauty can exist, or how our digital identities will be perceived. I think it's a very nice question to think about it. And I also think this AI wave now it's gonna set in, and in the future will prevail the provoking images, the ones that you can clearly see they're made with intention and super inclusive. I love also to think that us as humans, we crave for a deeper meaning, and those deeper provoking images, and going against the norm. It's within our nature.
Yeah, actually, there was a great addition on the chat from Stella. Something I know that I mean, even myself, I actually had some images I developed for Vogue a couple of years ago, and it was quite exciting. And I tried to sort of shake it up a little bit, but since then, I think as the data sets have gotten more beautiful, it's harder to create images which are not like perfect, and so the finesse comes in adding some of the imperfections and stuff. Stella, you just mentioned you had been trailing a LoRa for more authentic body types. I'd love to find out more about that.
It's a kind of a simple example, right? Because I only did it for fashion crookies, essentially. So kind of naked bodies to dress with painted clothes, right? But yeah, I had the same problem. I could not get diverse body shapes. I was like, hey, well, I want a fuller model. How do I get a fuller model? And so the answer was quite clear, quite fast. It's just training your own LoRa model and make the AI understand that when you use the prompt full or round, this is actually what you want to have, and not the same mega slim body type. So yeah, but the good part is with all of these open source technologies out there, we as creators, because they're making it more accessible, it's possible to do that, right? It needs a little bit of research and a little bit of like investigation to get to the point and set up your environment so these things can run seamlessly on your device. But it also empowers us to own what we're creating because it runs on our machines and it's fed with, our designs, our aesthetics. I think this is also a very powerful evolution of what we've seen the last year.
All right, great, thank you. Anish, I know you did some work in this space. Would you like to tell us a bit about your SCARS campaign?
Yes. So we recently, we were working with a brand who was into derma cream, and they came up with the idea of creating something where we can use AI, because a lot of females, especially, they don't want to reveal their face when it comes to a larger campaign. So we came up with the idea, and we created an AI version of the entire female, looking at how the scars are beautiful and you don't need to actually hide them, but how you can actually come up with a cure. So that was a campaign we did, and we got a really good response. And when we did a research, people were not even aware that whether we have used AI or these were the real models. So yeah, I mean, AI is actually helping us a lot. And like you also said, we need to educate, and we need to take the responsibility of how we are using AI in this entire industry.
Got it. We're actually getting close to time, but I think there's a very important question I would like to ask. I'm going to run this one to Paula. A lot of what we've talked about is generative AI, which creates images or videos or campaigns, and very much about the surface level. But the bulk of the fashion industry is actually supply chain. It's production, manufacture, distribution, sales, predicting sales and trends. Paula, I know you have some interest in circular fashion technology. And of course, here we are in the EU, most of us who are aware that there are new rules coming into play, which I think will do a great job about reducing some of the wastage. How are you seeing AI used to actually do exactly this, make more efficient processes and help with not overproducing and just throwing clothes away?
Well, yeah, I mean, the supply chain is very complex, and we're looking at, AI, blockchain, and robotics. So robotics using computer vision for sorting the difference between polyester blends and wool blends, for example. So happening in the sorting process of post-consumer recycling, we use a lot of AI, computer vision mostly, to separate fabrics. We're using digital twinning then of fibers. And those fibers then have digital product passports through bioscannable pigmenting. So we're spraying the fibers, digitally twinning them, they go into the marketplace. In terms of the EU, then we have, of course, digital product passports are big now on down to fiber level. So that's what I'm looking at, the fiber level, not the finished product. And then we've more policy, particularly around textiles. It's illegal to burn textiles now in the European Union, and only 1% of textiles last year was recycled, unfortunately. And we know that on vintage, what do my students say? There's an exam question. 83.1 million Zara items were on vintage yesterday, but nobody's talking about like what happens after the product. So we're trying to figure out how to take existing fibers and recycle, respin, and put them back into the circularity ecosystem. In terms of my own research, I'm looking at textiles and tokenization. So we're looking at, I suppose in the end, we'll have like localized circular manufacturing systems where we have 100% recycled fibers. What we have now is jeans that might be 30% recycled fibers, 70% virgin fibers. So again, AI is picking up all those data sets, and we're using AI for optimization for things like zero waste pattern making, prototyping. There's loads, measuring carbon footprint, the water usage and all that. So all those technologies are helping us make better decisions in real time. But at the end of the day, I think fashion is more about like data, pixels, programming, sorry, it's not very creative, and also processes, platforms. It's gone beyond products. It's really supply chain orientated. And the great thing about AI is everyone has a right to be part of the supply chain. Even my students who were just retail people, they get a chance to participate in production and also the design process. So in an optimized way, in a transparent way, in a sustainable way. And that's what we mostly focus on at the moment.
Love it. Thank you. And I feel very confident that the next generation is getting exactly the education they need to really thrive in this new world. So we're actually at time. I want to thank everybody very much. I think most of us, we're all easily findable on LinkedIn. So I know there's some questions that you probably have. So please reach out. And I don't know, Aditya, maybe you can tell us if other people can see the chats, maybe we can drop our LinkedIn profile or our companies in the chat as well.
I would say feel free to screen share or mention it in the chat, because I don't think the chat is going to go to special, but if you guys want to mention it on the call, I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, let's go real quick. I am cobaltstars.com. Please say hello. Paula?
Oh, Yes, I'm here. Oh, sorry, I was trying to. What do we need to do?
Give us your web address. Where can people find
Oh, LinkedIn, just Paula Marie Kilgarriff, easy peasy.
Marcela?
You can find me on Instagram. It's me, Castelli, with double L and I. Also Marcela Castelli on LinkedIn and Twitter.
Anish?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram and you can find me on LinkedIn by Anish Katyal.
What was your business? Your web address was, remind me.
Yeah, it's nothingelsematter.in.
Really catchy. I love that. And Stella, you can round out the
Sure, it's just my name everywhere on any social platform out there. Stella Achenbach, you can find me everywhere.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you next year.
Thank you so much for keeping on time, Rupert. You've had like a super amazing panel and you guys have kept to topic and kept to time. I appreciate the fact that you're doing this from a airport lounge and next level of commitment. Thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and introduce the next speaker. It's Ornella Vallana, a Web3 educator, Web3 marketing guru, as well as marketing expert on the Bankless Academy. Ornella, I see you're already on the screen. The floor is yours. I believe you're going to be talking about Web3 education, so super excited to hear what is it that you have to share with us.
Absolutely. Well, GM, good morning or afternoon or good night depending on where you are in the world. Super excited to be here in this Fashion Metaverse conference. Thanks for the invitation and excited to connect with this whole world of art and fashion and experiences because, yeah, since the pandemic, since I started learning crypto and Web3, I've been very deep in that area. So it's also very interesting to come out of that rabbit hole to meet other areas as well. So yeah, super excited to be here. I will be sharing around topics around Web3 and education. And for that, I would like to share some slides. Would it be possible, please, to share?
You have the access, Ornella, so I think you can just click on the share button. Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I just requested. Okay, I think I'm ready now. Thank you so much. All right, here we go. So yeah, I will be talking about Web3 education and Bankless Academy, which is an application to learn Web3 for free. And I want to connect both worlds, explaining why this might be important and very relevant to anyone building in the metaverse, especially on decentralized platforms. It's because the fact of learning how to own, participating of the ownership economy and learning how to own and take care of digital assets is something not so new, but of course it's not mainstream yet. And it's a big mind shift for people to kind of learn why it's important to do it, to try, to stay safe and to navigate this whole world with confidence. So that's what a Bankless Academy tries to do, me as well on a personal level, and Didier, who is the developer lead and creator of the application. So let me dive in here. All right, a quick intro on why a Bankless Academy exists and how it came to be, because I do believe that it's important to share this, the why the application exists, right? Why we care and why we decided to push Web3 education forward. Because in crypto, you will find, a lot of marketing around projects, about airdrops, about token launches, which is perfect, right? But also like who's pushing education, right? Who's pushing the fact of helping people kind of stay safe and take care of this whole navigation in the Web3 space. So with Bankless Academy, we aim to do just that, and also on a scalable level. So the project was created by Didier Crooks, is our developer product lead, and It's actually now available online, and it's helping around like thousands and thousands of explorers worldwide. So the team has been building and managing Bankless Academy from 2022. We met in the Bankless DAO community, and our backgrounds come from newspaper websites, experience in startup environments, marketing, and events management. We're incredibly passionate about the cypherpunk values, Ethereum, and having a bankless lifestyle. And today, the learning platform has helped a lot of people around the world, thousands of them, and I hope that it helps also more people in the fashion industry as well. Now, what is Bankless Academy? To sum it up quickly, it's a free, very important, it's a free open source, meaning everyone can contribute and make it and improve it and make it better. It's a Web3 education platform sharing the tools and knowledge to go bankless. What does it mean to be bankless? I think that's a very important question because maybe until not so long ago, listening to the term bankless was like, hey, what does that even mean? I mean, is it possible to live life without a bank? Well, the truth is, yes, now it's possible. It's not the mainstream thing yet, but hopefully it will be very soon. So what does it mean to be bankless? It's kind of a way to say that you have to, learn how to be responsible in this new ownership economy, in this new digital world. It's inviting you to practice self-custody, which is taking care of your digital assets, becoming your own bank, basically. And it also means freedom to transact globally around the world without intermediaries on a peer-to-peer basis, powered all of this thanks to blockchain technology. So the application, I'm going to share it here. I'm going to do like a small demo of the app so you can see it and test it out after the event. All right. So here it says, Bankless Academy. Welcome to Bankless Academy. Your digital transformation begins here. It's time to start your crypto journey and change your digital life forever. So it's important to say that what you're going to see right now, it's all been developed as a public good, meaning Bankless Academy is not a company. There is a podcast called Bankless, which shares content about Bankless lifestyle. But we were inspired by that content to create this application called Bankless Academy. As I was saying, it's a public good. It's free to use. It'll always be free. And the goal is to share knowledge, to share the wonders of technology, blockchain technology, and give you confidence to navigate the space. The project is funded through grants, partnerships, and community donations. So it's something that has been built from the ground up, bottoms up. So what can you do at Bankless Academy? You can take lessons, gain new skills, do some quests, which basically means like some tests that you can do at the end of each lesson with an on-chain activity. So even if you are like absolute zero in a Web3 or blockchain, you don't know what crypto is, this is the place to start. You can claim badges, which are NFTs, on-chain certifications of what you've just learned, and you can level up and share knowledge with your friends. You'll have an invitation to sign up. We're going to skip this to go to the app. So here we have the Explorer, as you can see, and we're going to start learning. On the left, you can see lessons. So you can have the Essentials curriculum is the very basic curriculum that you will need to go from zero to hero. So from going to not knowing anything about Web3 up to having a wallet, and also understanding level 1 lessons, layer 1 blockchain, layer 2 intro to DeFi, and many more. So we have around 11, 12 lessons right now. We're still adding more. We're also having some community lessons. And the type of learning style is always at your own pace. The lessons are brief and short. It's around, I would say, 8 to 15 minutes maximum, depending on how much time you take to finish the on-chain activity. So for example, you can start, what is Bitcoin? Understanding the history of that, you know, the history of money, the history of how it came to be, what was the problem that we identified, right, as humanity, and why, you know, we needed a peer-to-peer way to transact. So after learning about the OG blockchain, you can dive into Ethereum basics. See, you will find the lesson right here. You can share the lesson with your friends and family, and you can claim the NFT after you go through all of the slides in the lesson. So let's do a quick dive right here. And here we have the instructor. He's going to help you, you know, navigate. You can find definitions, also a glossary of specific words that are key to understand, right? Because there's a lot of new terms. Like when I started learning about Web3, listening to podcasts, consuming content, I literally just like wrote down every single word that I didn't understand and just like Googled it one by one. So I wish I would have had Bankers Academy at the beginning, because this is really much more, much easier. So it will take you through a journey, slide by slide. And at the end, you will find a quest. If you complete that quest, this is just some knowledge checks in the middle of the lessons, right? So for example, here we see a slide, an open internet, explaining the why. I think that's very, very important. So peer-to-peer trades and more knowledge checks. And at the end, you will find a quest. You can do these lessons even if you don't have a Web3 wallet yet. But if you're interested in having it, guess what? You can go over to Wallet Basics. So if you don't have a Web3 wallet, you can start it here. So basically, if you're new in Web3, this is very helpful for you to start. If you are an OG, if you have friends and family that are asking you like, hey, what is it that you're doing? How can I learn about crypto? Don't worry, you won't have to like help them holding their hands. You can say, hey, we just found this amazing app called Bankers Academy, and it will teach you how to navigate Web3. So lessons, you can claim badges. See, at the end, if you build your profile, you have different badges. Each of these badges is an on-chain certification. They are free to mint. We sponsored that, and yeah, all you have to do is just, you know, bring that energy, study, and gain on-chain certifications. Now, this also has some part of a referral program that we will be activating very soon. Also some other type of collectibles and humanity. This is a way to understand if you are a real person, right, and not a bot. And of course, there are other types of achievements that you can earn by doing different on-chain activities. So for example, Gitcoin, Giveth, Octane, these are donation platforms. If you are not aware yet, but many things in Web3 are funded through donations, community donations. Bankers Academy is one of them. That is what makes it possible, which is amazing. And that is what helps Bankers Academy be a free application. So I really invite you to explore it. It's a great way to learn. And also, if you go here, I would like to share the Telegram group of the community. If you are keen to learn about Web3, if you want to learn with, you know, friends, or if you're up to new experiences, please just scan that code, or you can DM me. My name is Ornella Web3 on socials. You can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, LinkedIn, that's my real name, Ornella Vallana. And I would be happy to share the link with you as well. But yeah, the invitation is basically to do not worry if you don't know much about Web3. Everyone here is learning as we go. And if you're in the fashion metaverse industry, right, in the ecosystem, it's very important for you to kind of have this confidence, you know, understand the tooling, understand what is a Web3 wallet, understand how to take care of your digital assets, because yeah, that will give you the confidence to kind of be part of it and navigate the space with security. So thank you so much for the invitation, and I really hope that this is helpful. It has brought to you a fun way to learn about Web3 and blockchain technology. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ornella. Thank you for keeping time. I think we really appreciate it. We have the next speaker. So, you know, I'm very thankful that we have something like Bankless today, because I didn't have that either when I started my Web3 journey. So thank you for that presentation. So we have with us the next speaker, who's Sagar Verma, also a friend from India, lecturer at NIFT, the National Institute of Fashion Technology, researcher, speaker, avid crypto advocate, and also I think a big name in the digital fashion space. He's going to be giving a talk on fashion metaverse. So Deep, you have the floor. I'm going to go ahead and cut my camera, and you can unmute.
Thank you, Aditya. And I have been listening the last speaker, and yes, indeed, I also asked the same question to me, how I wish that this type of platform or academy could have existed a few years back. So the awareness about the Web3 and the related technologies could have been great. But anyways, so we are on board, and thank you, Fashion Metaverse Conference and the team for inviting me. So a brief introduction of myself. My name is Sagar Verma. I've been working as an assistant professor in National Institute of Fashion Technology, India. And my PhD is on the completion on the same topic, that is the fashion metaverse, how it is going to disrupt the whole industry, specifically with respect to the business opportunities and challenges. And happy to announce that my first book is coming on next month, and the publisher is HP Hamilton in the UK. So the name of the book is The Fashion Metaverse, A Digital Renaissance. So I'm going to discuss a bit about that, what I have included in the book. And since I'm very sure that all the speakers who are here, they are an expert and they have been into this field. But the purpose of writing a book was to make people aware, especially those who don't have any idea that what is the metaverse and Web3 and everything, and how it is going to help them. So I just I made a small presentation. I'll just share the screen and discuss a bit. So if somebody can tell me that if the screen is visible.
Yeah, Deep, we see your presentation. It's
Yeah. So this is the book cover of the book on the fashion metaverse. So a bit of introduction about me in the last page. So so these are some of the topics which I'm going to discuss. Aditya, if you can confirm that this slide is also visible.
Yes, it is.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to discuss the topics which I have covered in the book. So I'll briefly explain that what is this all about. So I've started with the very introduction of the metaverse, and then I've gone through the evolution of technology, and then ultimately coming to the future of the metaverse. So these are some of the topics which are there in the book, and I'm just going to discuss it or explain it. So coming to the next one, very big question, that why the metaverse and why it is being considered as the new frontier of fashion, and why there has been hype about it, and then on and off people say that it is dead, it is not going to be there, it was just a fad, and it was just the year of 2021 and 22, and it is gone. But since I have explored it a little bit more, because I have to do it for a study also, my PhD also, and then what I found that although there have been ups and downs on the metaverse front, but ultimately it is going to happen, and every single person would be there, and there is no choice. and it is not very far from today. Hardly it will take around some 5 to 7 years, and everybody would be whatever hardware they would be using, but yes, everybody will live in the metaverse. But the question is like, why it is important? So one important aspect of the metaverse, or in broad language like Web 3.2, that we are moving towards the decentralization. And it is not because that there is anti-government or anti-establishment, but uh, for betterment, or for the mutual benefit of the creators and consumers and all the stakeholders. And decentralization is not happening in just the metaverse, but in fact all the related associated areas, like which is artificial intelligence or blockchain, or even blockchain enabled cryptocurrencies and everything. So every single ecosystem is trying to promote decentralization, because we have seen the benefit of it, like how uh, when we empower people, when we empower the ecosystem, then everybody has their equal right, equal voice, and everybody can be the consumer and creator, and the benefit could be shared. And that is what then what is it moving towards. And when we talk about the metaverse, I will not be biased, but what I've seen that fashion plays an important role, and it is actually at the central point, because the first thing when somebody explore the metaverse, the primary thing is to create an avatar, and an avatar creation. And we know that we try to style our avatar, we try to probably use some of the clothing which are from the different brands, and even the hair and whatever, the skin and everything. So digital fashion has evolved. And why so? Because probably I may be a little old, maybe some of the speakers may be a little old, but what about the Gen Zs? And leave Gen Zs, what about alpha generation and the beta generation, like the children who are born in 2025? And what about children born in for last 10 to 12 years, the alpha generation? I'm sure that they all are into the digital world, and they spend a substantial time. As per McKinsey report, every alpha generation, or on an average, an alpha generation kid, they spend around some 6 hours in digitally. And it can be in any platform, whether it can be YouTube, or it is a Roblox or Minecraft or Epic Games, whatever it is. But yes, and because of digitalization in totality, there has been increment in the digital fashion. And that's why this is why it is there, and it is gaining. So that this is the very first topic which I discussed, that why metaverse is important and how fashion is evolving into it. My next chapter of the book is like very fascinating, like how the technology evolved over the period of time, like how is the evolution and growth. So just a small question from the audience. If how many of you have used these devices? I'm sure that you must be knowing, Walkman, or the very old PC, and then the analog mobile phones. And these are some of the examples of the devices, electronic devices. And mind it that it is not so far, hardly 15 to 20 years back, these products used to be a lifestyle product, and now it is no more into existence. Obviously there has been the upgraded version or the modified version, and now we have moved to the real time devices and everything. But imagine that one time, I used to have the same Walkman, some probably 20 years back, and I was like one of the coolest persons in my locality, because it used to be a product which everybody aspired to have. But yes, this is how the technology has been evolving for last probably 2 decades. In fact, technology has been evolving since 1945, after the World War II. But yes, the rapid growth in technology is happening for the last 2 decades. And in the last five, in fact, post COVID, there has been rapid adoption and the evolution of technology. So the journey starts from probably Walkman or radio or television to computer to analog phones, and now we are talking about spatial computing or the metaverse. Like now everything is spatial, everything is like you just wear the headwear and then you go into the immersive world and use whatever you want. And it is not that you are just using it. In fact, you are there, you are being the part of that whole ecosystem. So how fascinating it is. And I'll just share my experience that last week I was trying one application. It was like DJing. So I became a DJ in the metaverse, and I downloaded an application. And it was super cool to use and DJ application. Like you become DJ, you are mixing the songs and everything, and it is so immersive that you feel that you are there. And probably it can be one of the alternate careers people can think of. And this is what is going to be possible in the metaverse. Like there is no boundary, like anybody can be there. And then probably we have already seen that how Decentraland has come up with an idea of the fashion shows and everything. MBFW, they have done it for probably 2 seasons. So how the fashion models are working in this type of ecosystem, and then obviously navigating into the different applications, whether it is healthcare or fashion or infrastructure or music or whatever it is. And I do not want to isolate anything because everything is so interconnected. So one ecosystem can be used or utilized for the other one. Now, the next chapter is all about avatars, like how fashionable avatars are like basically into the trend. As I was talking about the kids, alpha generation, or in fact even Gen Zs, and even why not we? What about millennials, or even if somebody is from Gen X? Right. So everybody, whenever we are into the digital world, we have to create an avatar. So and then we not only just try to create an avatar, but also want to make it fashionable. So these are some of the here the two sites. Like these two are made on Roblox, and the central one is is in the Minecraft. And these are some of the customized avatars which are created in these gaming platforms. And like the consumers or the users have the options to utilize or in fact customize this type of the clothing, the hair, the accessories and everything. Means you can put all the fashion elements in your uh, uh, whole digital representation, right? And from here, from the very animated type of characters in gaming platform, now we have moved up to this one. And can anybody anybody imagine that this season C is an avatar who actually does not exist in the real world? C is an AI avatar, and her name is Eternal Lopez. She is an Spanish model, and her Instagram page has some sorry, some 300,000 followers. And on top of that, as per the newspaper, her monthly income is approximately $10,000 uh, uh, on an average. How? Because she has collaborated with so many of brands, including Gucci and some of the luxury brands. So and and how it is possible? We have seen that how the growth of AI and everything for the last few years, and it is just a very small technique, and with no code. Um, Anybody can create such type of models, because you have now Flux LoRa's, you have Google Colab research. It is very easy to create, but yes, how do you position? How do you make it, more immersive, more interactive with the consumers? That matters. But yes, it is happening. And Eternal Lopez, influencers like Eternal Lopez, there are many, and they are making a good amount of money in terms of in terms of collaborations. They are getting famous, and their creators are being recognized. Okay? So we have seen that avatars being coming from the animated one to the realistic one, and it has become so easy nowadays to create. So in the book, what I've covered, I've given so many of examples, and then the process that how somebody can create all of this type of avatars. Now, coming to the next topic, which is all about non-fungible tokens. NFTs. So again, on and off, I see the discussions on various platforms that non-fungible tokens are dead. It was just an hype of 2021, and there is no utility, there is no real use case. But yes, I would I really object at times. I do understand that there has been a lot of importance of non-fungible tokens because we are talking about a world which is immersive, which is going to be converged ultimately. And then in that whole ecosystem of any world which is about the metaverse or the metaverse world, we need different characters, need different animation, different photographs, images, videos, whatnot. And those all type of creative art would be the part of non-fungible tokens if it is backed by the blockchain. And yes, generally what we have seen, these type of non-fungible tokens which are sold in OpenSea.io, they are either connected with the Ethereum blockchain or Polygon blockchain and whatnot. And then the validity of this non-fungible token comes because it is unique, nobody can copy, and even somebody copies, they cannot keep it connected to the blockchain. And that's how the uniqueness of the non-fungible tokens come in the picture, because we are discussing about the future and that type of atmosphere where every world will be converged. Ultimately it will merge, and one person will be able to transport from one place to other place without any friction, right? Coming to the topic, which is decentralized finance, cryptocurrencies, and tokens. So I'm sure that the previous speaker has covered a lot, but yes, uh, is it not fascinating to see the growth of? Let's not discuss about all those things. What about the Bitcoin? The growth from 2009 till date. Can anybody imagine? Could anybody imagine that one cryptocurrency which whose owner is not known, who's from where it came, and just one 8 pages research paper, 8 pages white paper, or 9 pages, sorry. So 9 pages of research paper had changed the whole world. And now even the US government, even the president, he's very pro into this Bitcoin, and he's trying to make a national reserve for that. And there are so many of countries also which institutional buyers, and then obviously there are individual buyers. So we have seen that how cryptocurrencies backed by the blockchain, these are disrupting the whole industry. And then we are talking about the metaverse, where in order to have the frictionless transaction, we cannot use the fiat currency. Then we have to use the cryptocurrencies or crypto token, and it will be very easy because it is 24 into 7 on, right? So I've covered also about cryptocurrencies in one of the chapters. Then coming to the generative AI and AI agents. So it is said that 2025 is the year of AI agents, and we have been witnessing the importance of AI agents, because um, how it is this technology is leveraging, and how it is giving the benefits to the different stakeholders. And recently, like, every single day you open news or you open your LinkedIn, you will find one new AI has come. And these are some of the AI tools or AI agents, I would say, that which are disrupting the whole industry till date. It is till today. And the latest one is Grok, made by Elon Musk. Then there are some Chinese applications like Manus, DeepSeek, and we already know about the OpenAI and Perplexity, and it is all backed by NVIDIA GPUs. So we have been witnessing that different AI and AI agents are coming, and they are actually changing the whole scenario. Like, you want to create anything, yes, it is all just in your own hands. You can do anything because there is an empowerment to everybody, and which is the true example of the decentralization. So in one of the chapters of the book, I have covered generative AI and AI agents. Creators economy, like, how we have been witnessing about the YouTube, the success story of YouTube and Instagram. Many, you won't believe, like, if I talk about India, it contributes, YouTube in fact contributes a lot in the gross domestic product, GDP of the country. There have been full-time creators who are, and it's not only the learned one or the from the urban place, but also from very remote villages, remote rural areas, they have become the creators, and they have made the means of their life from them. And this is how the creators economies are working nowadays. And just for 2 days back, I just experimented. I was trying to experiment to create an image when the movies from very inspired from the Hollywood animated movies. And just in few seconds, I just created in a Leonardo AI. Just I had to generate some prompt, and again that could be done from ChatGPT, and you put it in some AI tools, and such type of images will be generated in within few minutes or even with few seconds. See where we are going, and imagine like such type of uh, even imageries or even movie making and everything is in the ecosystem of the metaverse. And so it will be so engaging for the kids and for any consumer. Right? Again, talking about, so this particular image, this was my first stint of creation of images, some almost 3 years back in Midjourney. And I just gave only one prompt, fashion metaverse, and from where it came. And I think they have given some cool avatars with some stylized costumes and makeup and whatnot. Okay, so these were some of the first images I created. So yeah. And then when we talk about fashion, it is not only about the fashion walk or modeling and everything, but also about selling the product. So we have like generally theme board, mood board, color board, season board. So everything again here, is it not becoming easy to sell the product if it is all in the virtual? You just create the virtual products and and just put in the metaverse, and in fact the consumers can go, they select the product, and then ultimately they can buy it, and the actual product can be delivered at home. So this is again created, I don't exactly remember in which AI tool I have made it, but yes, this is a kind of mood board and the product board. So where the grouping of the products have been done. Yeah. And just I'm going to talk about a bit about again, this is the last chapter of the book, that how do we see the future of the metaverse, especially in the fashion context. So one important aspect of the metaverse, what I find is interoperability. Like, you can move from any one ecosystem to other, to other, to other, and it is all without any friction, without any hesitation. One can move. Only thing that you should have that the pass or entry pass to that particular place. Right? And then it becomes like from Adidas store, somebody can visit to the Nike store and so on. So, and then one fine day, haptics and olfactory like touch and smell would work in even in the fashion metaverse. Like anybody could, you know, um, you can touch the clothing. You can even smell the clothing, or even smell the, imagine some makeup brands. So what if you can sense the smell of it, and then it will become easy for you to buy the product, right? So that is what we are talking about, the futuristic technology, haptics and olfactory. So that is going to be there. And then ultimately be your own fashion, that you need not to buy the products which are being offered by the brands or which the company is pushing to buy, but in fact you can create it from your own. And there what we talk about, like one of the platforms what I have taken as an example, like the sandbox. So what I've seen that the companies like Gucci and even Lululemon, then Adidas Originals, they all are building their ecosystem, in fact their virtual stores in the sandbox. And what one fine day that we can see the real virtual store in the metaverse, probably the sandbox, or it can be any other platform as well. And then we as consumers go inside that, select the product, choose the product, in fact trial also, and then have the sense of haptics and olfactory sense, touch and smell, and then ultimately order it, and then the same product can be delivered at your home, and no need to go somewhere else. And it is not only about the selection of the product, but customization also. So that is what the future of fashion metaverse, what I see, and I my study also says, and you will find a bit more detail in the book. So that was that is something which which I believe that going to happen very, very soon, and we are looking for a promising future. So so since we have limitation of time, and there are so many speakers lined up, so anyways, so thank you very much. And just in case you want to get connected to me, I'm sure that many of you are already, but so this is my LinkedIn QR code, and thank you very much for giving this opportunity to speak in front of all of you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Verma. If you want to just continue that screen share of the last slide for a couple of seconds so that people
Yes, sir.
could take a
Sure,
quick
sure.
look.
Sure,
So
sure. I'll do that.
I think a lot of key takeaways. I still remember that slide of yours about what was a prestige item back in the 70s and 80s, and how that relates to why NFTs are meaningful today, why NFTs are use cases, and how the future is evolving. Whether we like it or not, we are going increasingly digital. Our avatars are going to mean something because we're spending a lot of time digitally as we speak, and we are going to be connecting digitally as well. So it makes most sense that it is in 3D. But even if it doesn't happen in 3D tomorrow, it's going to happen eventually in 3D. So I think a lot of gold nuggets in your talk, and we're going to go ahead and hopefully everyone's got a glimpse of Deep's socials. If not, you should catch him on LinkedIn. He does share a lot of useful content that keeps me up to date at least. And we have the moderator Serena from the next talk. We also have and I also see Aiden. So thanks, Deep. If you could stop the screen share, I
Yes, sure,
give
sure.
the mic over to Serena, who's the moderator, and she can take over from there.
Yeah, thank you very much, Aditya, and thank you everybody for this opportunity.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. So first of all, thank you, Fashion Metaverse Conference, for having us to discuss about how to build a DAO here. I'm Serena. I'm from CancerDAO. So judging from the name, I'm from a DAO. And the concept of DAO has been existing for years, but I will never get bored of talking about it. Oh, I see it's raising a hand. Anything you want to
I know it's not very Web3 to have your cameras on, but if you're comfortable and you'd like to, you're free to put on your cameras. But
okay.
If you're, I mean, it's totally up to you, but I just thought if as speakers and panels, if
Okay.
that's a good idea.
All right, let me see. Okay. Yeah, I didn't prepare for getting the camera, but never mind. It's great. And so very happy to have our two speakers who are experts in this space to discuss it today. So how about let's start with a brief introduction among our speakers. Wei, maybe we can start from you.
Yeah, hi, Serena. I'm so sorry I can't turn on my camera because I'm in a very dark room. You won't see me when I turn on the camera. I didn't prepare for this. This is Wei. I'm CEO and founder of Art Fungible platform. We are decentralized marketplace for artists and creators. So we let artists and creators to sell and trade their products on our marketplace, both digital and physical. We use a smart contract to track this whole selling process. And we also support artists and creators to implement their own smart contract and to onboard Web3, also Web3 artists to Web3, Web2 artists to Web3. And coming to DAO, we have examined to organize like a DAO for artists and creators for actually many years, but we haven't done that. We can talk about more why we haven't decided to start a DAO later. Yeah.
Thank you, Wei. And next, Aiden.
Hey guys, good to be here. This is Aiden. So I host Inter Research and recently lead the project of like a model DAO. So basically two communities that under the DAO structure. For Inter Research, I have both experts from industry like Ethereum Foundation, Flashbots, Nanamind, those researchers in working in the industry and institutes, and PhD from like Cornell, Stanford, Berkeley. So I regularly organize research discussion focusing on like Ethereum related technology or like decentralized AI, those stuff. As for Model DAO, I currently lead the project basically to help researchers or scientists, or recently, just this day, some artists who want to leverage AI resources and to launch their own model. And no matter for their research work or art creation or promote a certain niche focus area, and they can further build the community in a DAO way and to further like improve and evolve the model. So that's the work I've been working on, and really exciting to be here to talk about this.
Wow, cool. Yeah, although I know Aiden, but it's also my first time to hear about this model DAO thing. So I'm also very excited to hear more about that from you. And quickly introduction about myself. I'm from CancerDAO. We are an AI-powered and Web3 community-driven data DAO to build open source solutions for cancer care and prevention. And so without further ado, let's start with our first question. I think some of the audiences, they might not be so familiar with the DAO, so we can give a quick introduction of what is DAO and how it is different from like a normal corporation in the Web2 world. Maybe we can start with Wei. First, your interpretation of DAO. Yeah.
I mean, DAO is compared to other like legal form like liability companies or corporates, it's a autonomous organization. Actually, we don't need actually legal entity. We use we have a community. We vote. We can use NFT token to vote and to manage this organization. So it's like, for me, it's more like a democracy in company form. This is how I understand now. Yeah.
Okay, how about Aiden? Do you think differently?
Yeah, I think I'll just add up some ideas. I think unlike the traditional company, there are this hierarchy which is quite structured. But from DAO, as the A stands for like autonomous, so basically every members can have their own proposal, and they can even form some small groups that focus on specific track. So I would say it's more natural and organic that members in the organization can collaborate together and contribute to certain like small tasks and to let the organization grow in a like structured way or unstructured way.
Yeah, interesting. And actually, there is one point I might not agree with Wei, is that now I see some DAOs, they actually have a legal entity because in some way you have to, for example, receive maybe enter into a contract or receive donation from someone, right? in the real world. So many in the normal way is to use a foundation as like a replication for DAO in Web2, because in foundation doesn't have a shareholder, so it's also like can represent the community. That's very interesting. And actually, I quite like the DAO. The name itself, it actually resonates. It's the same as the spelling of a pinyin of the Taoism in Chinese. And and Tao is actually the highest, the ultimate status in the existence. So yeah, it's actually cool world. Okay, let's move to the second discussion about so what are the essential elements you think to successfully launch a DAO?
I think yeah, I think for DAO, essential is you need to have a mission. You have to you know what this style is for, like your CancerDAO or some other like art DAO, these kind of things. You have a central mission, and another essential element is members. I think members are essential. You need to vote, and all members decide together in which direction, strategy, and everything you should go this DAO. So for me, these two are really essential.
How about Aidan?
Yeah, I would like to add on. I think, in my opinion, I think the proper incentive and a healthy business model is actually essential for a DAO to sustainably run. So just to take the case like the recent like model DAO, we want to have this artist, like it's an alliance based in the like the SF, and they have over 100 artists. They have some artists that feel like they don't have the proper way to promote their artwork. And basically, they don't have this complete business loop. So they have many talented artists, they have supply, but there's no demand match. So I actually help them design the whole loop. But the initial part is actually help them launch a model to analyze and certain artwork, like what kind of scenarios, like whether it's a coffee shop or it's like a the villa, or it's like it's a home that should match this kind of artwork. So it can provide this kind of analysis, and so that there's the artwork supply and the demand of the actual the house owners could need this kind of style artwork. So then there will be an agent like the model to support this whole function, to let it run automatically. So the story I'm present here is to say you cannot let the DAO sustainably run without you find this let the DAO member to actually meet the real world demand. Otherwise, you can only rely on some other external fundings, and the external funding may not like continuously have this incentive or motivation to support you, right? And
Right.
also, I think this proper incentive mechanism can help the DAO members to continuously contribute to this and make this like create more work. They can get funds from their own artwork. They can get recognized not merely because of some comments, but also from actual revenue. I think that also matters. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. And actually, I think in Web3 space, I don't know if you guys feel so. Most of the DAO actually they're running on a loose basis. They don't really like on chain. So like it's strictly speaking, it's more you even can just form like a interest hobby group like that.
Yeah.
like
yeah, like ideally, when I studied DAO, I thought you need like issue smart contracts. You need to have governing tokens, and you need to like have a different proposal, like strategy, and you write your tokenomics and everything ready. But then I noticed in Web3, most DAOs have nothing. They have like probably only a Telegram group, and they start a DAO and start to discuss, and they don't have even token or any this kind of things, or nothing smart contract. So I was actually very surprised when I saw so many DAOs without any this kind of things.
I would say they're like a pre-DAO, pre-DAO.
They already call them DAOs, right?
Yeah, and you actually can use it some like a branding and to gather people together. It's a cool name.
Yeah,
I would say it that way.
That's true.
So here comes to our next question is about the DAO tools. Any DAO tools you suggest? Because in my experience, I find the difficult part is because in a DAO we're a community, everybody is contributing something. And then how do we record who contributed what? And also, as Aidan mentioned, when in the DAO has the capability to make revenues by themselves, and then how to distribute the revenue, things like that. So I think you guys must have some like cool stuff to share.
I think the most famous tool I know is Juicebox. I don't know if you heard, like, I think 3 years ago, there's a very famous DAO called Constitution DAO. where when the Sotheby's was selling a US Constitution, one of the original Constitution, and then people start to form this Constitution DAO, and within months they actually raised like more than 40 million US dollar to buy from the Sotheby's auction this Constitution. Actually, they raised enough fund within a short time, but I think another guy got higher price, and then they actually send this initially the fund back through smart contract. So this is I think this is organized by on the juice box, this tool. Another one it would be Aragon. Aragon has a very good infrastructure for DAO, so you can issue smart contract NFTs and so on, and they have very good organization. I think these two, if you want to ever start to cover this DAO, maybe just check out these two. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. How about Aidan?
Yeah, thanks Wei for bringing some existing tools. And so in Model DAO, we actually leverage like hat tools core tag, which is we call it as like model graph or causal relationship. So it actually helps address the problem lying from starting from academia. Basically, it's like several researchers, they co-author a paper, then how much you can actually give the proportion of, say, hey, you are the first author, you are the second author, but what the proportion like you guys actually contribute. So that being said, likewise situation appears in the model co-creation stuff. So there will be author or like researcher launch their vertical model, but there are other community members having the similar interest. They want to evolve and they further contribute, like aka like supplying data or their feedback about the model. So how you gonna attribute them? So the hat technology provides this so-called like a verifiable logic law. So I just try to
that sounds very fancy.
Yeah, I just try to remove the jargon. So the high level idea is that you can track their engagements based on a causal relationship. Causal relationship is like a because so. So because Serena has made a proposal, and some positive feedback. For example, the model has improved, let's say, 10% accuracy when it comes to certain like artwork style, compared to previous benchmark. Then Serena has this proposal, so she can get attributed for that part. So I think this small use case can help explain the so-called like causal relationship mean. So basically we leverage this and let it run automatically so that all the members engaging with this, no matter it's a discussion or like data supplying, they can get their engagements properly attributed. So I think that's exciting to see and the further running.
Is that a tool like ready to use, or it's like infra you still need to build something on it?
So I wouldn't say it's a tool. I would say it's like an infra, but we got it like embedded in this model DAO stuff. The model DAO is almost ready to launch. We'll share more information with you guys. Feel free to.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for anyone's interested, you can reach out Aidan on Twitter. I think the information will be on the
if you're interested in this model DAO, you have your specific focus or research interest. This is my Telegram handle. It's a California profile. Yeah, I'll stop here. Yeah, just reach out.
Cool. Yeah, I'm also excited to see the products. And then as we talked about the tools, I think the essential part of a DAO is about the community, right? So the last question here, I want you to share based on your experience and what is the best way to get the community engagement? Wei, maybe start with you.
I have to say we haven't started it now because of a legal issue. If you want to raise some funding from private investors, it's a bit difficult to use DAO this because they probably will ask you to form a normal legal company, right? So this is an issue. But come back to your question. I think a DAO needs a clear narrative. Everybody needs to know for example, like this constitution DAO, the purpose of this DAO is to purchase this constitution from auction, right? So this is very clear mission there. And you should have a very clear onboarding process to add membering, and you, like Aiden mentioned, you need a reward strategy, how to what are incentives, and probably you need a good developers to have a smart contract properly settled. Yeah.
As you mentioned, the incentives now in our existing DAO, it's like either token, right? Either token or NFT.
For example, the Solana launched like a special smart contract for NFTs. Like you can set in the beginning the interest rate and staking rate and or burning rate and so on. Actually, you can, before you start actually issue this token, you can already program this into your smart contract, right? So this is actually designed for DAOs, I think. And of course, Ethereum has this kind of things for long ago, and now Solana also has this kind of things.
Yeah, like we just discussed yesterday. Yesterday, I was like, "Does Solana have any like?"
Yes, they do have. Yeah, there are a lot of features. Yeah, now they have a lot of features that you can program into your smart contract for tokens. Yeah.
How about Aiden?
So I will go back. Yeah, I think we just share some like tools or like existing, like to let the DAO to run as the autonomous way. But I think for DAO there's a trade-off, is like it's sometimes it goes into this slow tempo and it gets less structured. So I would say in addition to having a clear goal or like mission, some like chunked up like milestone should also be set clearly, so that the group members, they can collaborate together and they see the actual like feedback. In addition to, you know, the so-called like NFT or those stuff, they can see some like goals actually get achieved, so that they can have this sense of achievement. And in addition to hold the NFT, those badge, the feeling of the vibe of the community, they can also say, okay, cool, hey, we're doing something cool and we actually get things done. That also matters.
Yeah, agree. I also feel, because at the end it's human, but behind the DAO it's all human. So we need the social, we need the social attachment, the sense of belongings, or doing something together, aiming the same goals. And also you need the offline activities as well. So I feel, because the DAO, actually, I have to say, I think the DAO makes this remote work mode possible. So it's kind of like a new lifestyle. So like, but we are so far away from each other. For example, three of us, we don't see often each other. I would say we see every time when we are during crypto conferences. So this human part is really important for DAO. But I think you can also do local groups in a decentralized way, and then connect with the people that you share the same values, same interest. Yeah. So I think we're approaching the end of this panel, and I thank very much for our speakers and also the organizers. So if you're interested in DAO, and feel free to reach out to us on Twitter, and then I will hand it back to the host.
Yeah, thank you. In case you want to spend some time talking about your social handles, I think this would be a good time, because people will take a note of that.
Okay, how to talk like spelling? So yeah, mine is simple. On Twitter, my handle is Serena Seek, SEEK, because I think myself is a seeker, always seeking the truth. So Serena Seek, you can find me.
Are we allowed to like copy paste, or because it's easier, just like send the chat box.
So I think most of the audience would be on spatial, so they'll be able to see stuff. So if you have a barcode that you could pull up on screen, they could take a screenshot, or it's better if you speak.
Oh, I didn't
see.
know about that. So I think we will be more prepared the next time.
No worries. So
But-
you can speak it out. So, they still have audio that they can hear. The idea is that they don't have access to the chat because that's only for speakers.
Oh, I see. So yeah, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter as well. So it's like Aden, ADEN, and DR in Web3. So yeah, feel free to reach out. I create some contents about focusing on research work, and we'll share more about Model DAO in the future. Yeah.
I would prefer you visit our website because my Twitter account is not so active. Just visit Art Fungible. Art is fungible and like non-fungible altogether, and .io is our platform. You can write emails to us, and you can also follow our Twitter on our website and have a look on our website, our artists and our artworks there.
All right. Thank you very much. And that was
Thank
a
you
very,
for
very
having
interesting
us.
panel.
Yeah.
And
Thanks a lot.
thanks for sharing, everyone. Have a good day. And hopefully, everyone should follow the speakers as they've shared their profiles. I want to introduce Kave Bulambo next. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. Is it Cave or is it Kave? I think you're on mute.
Kave.
Excellent. So I have it that you're a TEDx speaker, founder, talent expert, cultural transformation advocate, community builder, LinkedIn top voice, and you're going to give us a talk on, women in tech. So, I don't want to keep you away from your talk, but thank you so much for joining, and the floor is yours. You can share if you wish to.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, I do have a screen to share. Okay, I think you can see my screen now. Okay, then I actually need to present. Amazing. So thank you for having me here. My title is Women in Tech, but also very important, I added, play your part in this conversation. What I'm going to talk about, basically the state of women in society and in the workplace, because we have to look at the whole in which women in tech exist, and not only in the technology space itself. And then we'll look at the radical change that needs to actually take within us as people, and also within the society that we live in. And we'll also look at the power of social and self-awareness and the role of allyship. Yes, I am Kave. I'm based in Berlin. I moved to Germany about 11 years ago. I moved here to do a master's degree in public management. And when I completed that, I was very fortunate to find an opportunity at one of the fastest growing startup in Germany. Coincidentally, it's a fashion tech and e-commerce platform. Maybe some of you know it. It's Zalando. And I joined that organization to build the employer branding team for technology. So that really meant helping the recruiting team attract and engage software engineer, data scientists, product managers, designer, the whole cross-functional teams. And so that's where my tech journey began. And after 8 years, I decided to get out a bit of that and find my own enterprises, which soon will be just one. And so I run Talent Diverse and Black in Tech Berlin. And the whole idea is really to enable organizations and leaders to be truly inclusive workplaces, because unless that happens, we're really missing a lot in society and in our enterprises. So I thought, in order to start my conversation, I'll just have all of us imagine if everyone, regardless of gender, can thrive in the workplace. And this isn't just a dream that I have personally, but this is a mission that many organizations have been going on for many, many years. And right now, as many of you may know, how the DEI space is being attacked, but some organizations are still continuing to pursue this mission because they agree and believe that fully including women isn't just about good ethics, but it's actually great economics. In the EU, for example, we lose about 370 billion euros because of the lack of participation of women in the economy. And so, what is the state of women in tech at the moment? Globally, some of you might know, women make up only about 27% of technology workers, and in the space of AI, about only 22%. Since we're in Web3 right now, only 13% of Web3 founding teams include at least one woman. And only 3% of IT professionals identify as Black women. In Germany, the salary gap are about 15%, where medium earning for a female tech engineer will be 68,000 euros, whereas for a man it will be about 80,000 euros. If you're in the tech space, also watch the VC space. Only 2.1% of VC funding went to female founded teams last year. And in Europe, tech sector, only 20% of leadership roles are held by women. And so it really does not, the numbers don't look good. And the reason why I start with numbers is because in the tech sector, we always say we are data driven, and we also cannot fix what we don't measure. So I wonder why we have been looking at these numbers and yet are not making any significant strides as tech companies. But also it's very important now to look at it in the grander scheme of gender equality, because if we just separate the tech space or industry, it doesn't coexist on planet Mars. It exists on this planet that we live in. And so the conversation of women in tech fits in the conversation of actually all women working in the labor market across the world. And so only 25% of leadership roles are occupied by women in largest companies. And so these are like those Siemens, VW, those really, really large organizations. It could also take us close to 300 years to achieve full gender equality. So this can look really discouraging, but I believe every step we make towards this journey can make a difference. You might be surprised, Germany is one of the wealthiest countries in the EU and in the world, but it is also one of the top 10 countries with the highest gender pay gap in Europe. Sweden being the first country with the highest gender equality rating across the EU and better salaries for women. Again, here, less women are working. Only 65% of women are employed full-time in the EU labor market compared to 85% of men. And as I mentioned earlier, we're losing 375 billion euros a year. So zooming into Germany, where does the gender pay gap come from, or why are we struggling with our own equality? Our gender pay gap sits at 16% less, very, very high. More women are working part-time in Germany, nearly 48%. And working part-time in Germany does not mean that you have the other percentage of your time free and at home, but women are actually working and doing household chores outside of their professional careers. And so it means doing a lot more work that is actually free and unpaid, which is care work that women are doing in Germany. We also face a very high motherhood penalty in Germany. A lot of women, after giving birth in Germany, experience about 61% drop in their income after childbirth. We also have a saying in German, which is called the Rabemutter, die Rabemutter, which is basically a woman who's professionally driven and has children, is considered an outcast. And she should be primarily looking after her kids and not pursuing a career. And lastly, it's the type of occupation. So you've seen the numbers in tech. More women are concentrated in the education and social work sector, where the pay is very, very low. Even in Germany, the pay is very low, although we are one of the wealthiest countries in the world and in the EU. And so this is the context within which. And so if you're a leader, or if you're a team lead or a manager or an individual contributor, you can imagine if this is the context within which you are operating, I truly believe that something then needs to change. And I don't know, because I can't see a lot of people here, you can let me know later if you also truly believe that something needs to change. Not only because we want to gain those 370 billion euros, but also I don't think it is sustainable to leave half of the population behind if we want to build great economies and great countries. And so a lot of research has been done by governments, by independent institutions. And the thing that needs to change, what truly needs to change, is uncovering our conscious and unconscious biases about women at work. And I'm not sure how many of you have come across the word unconscious bias or conscious bias, but these are really instant judgments that we make about people. And our brains are so wired to make these decisions about people and categorize them based on gender, often without even thinking. There are also very subtle conditioning, which are unintended subconscious associations formed by past experiences and societal norms, which influence our perceptions of women at work. And so our history and what we have learned from very, very way back in the day influence how we treat women right now. And then there's also those little biases, hidden biases, implicit thoughts and beliefs that affect everyone operating beneath us, conscious awareness. And what I really like, or what I really find very interesting about unconscious bias, that all of us, myself, yourself on this call, we do have unconscious bias. We have bias that's hidden somewhere within us that we make about people. So there isn't a person on planet Earth who does not have bias about people and places, and that determines how they relate to them. And so how does bias show up, for example, for women at work, which this is really important. There are many, many ways that biases show up for women at work, but I picked just four for this conversation. So we have the likability bias, where women feel the pressure to be liked and are penalized if they don't show characteristics that are assumed or primarily dedicated to women, such as nurturing, kind. Those are qualities that are pre-given to women. And so when I show assertiveness or the drive and desire to, to go for something really hard, I could be considered very difficult, or the difficult woman to work with or to collaborate with work. And so a lot of the time, most women are navigating this space where they don't want to be the ones fitting this box, the difficult box. They really want to be in the balance zone where they are not hated by the majority, mostly in tech, who are men. There's also the performance bias, where women's accomplishments are frequently undervalued due to their assumptions about their competence. And one example I like to use on this one is, for example, ChatGPT and OpenAI. Is there a reason why we don't see Miriam Murati a lot in the news, on conferences? And is there a reason cool people believe that she was actually the lead CTO managing engineers building ChatGPT? And so a lot of the time, the great work that women are creating, or the great organizations that they're creating, is undervalued, because their idea is that, no, she can't really be the one leading the team creating such a software or building a 500 Fortune company. Then we have the maternal bias. This, like I say, in Germany, we have the die Rabemutter. And this is a bias where women are perceived as less committed or less ambitious in their careers after becoming women. And it's completely false, but you do see it, for example, when a colleague come back from maternity leave and there is a big project that's your manager or somebody thinks should be given to her, and somebody will mention, well, I don't think it's the right time to give it to her. She just had a kid. And the idea is that she won't be able to manage that because, well, she just had a kid and she's probably more dedicated to that than she will be into this new project. And then you have the attribution bias, which is where women's contributions and achievement are systematically undermined or overlooked compared to men's. And my best example here is really Trump and Kamala Harris. And I don't really even need to go deep into this, but these are experiences that show up for women at work. These are the biases, that's how they show up. And there are many, many others. I can recommend some readings later where you can read about other biases and how you can actually try to be different and not perpetuate them. And so I want you, even though I can't see you right now after this conversation, to think about one action that you can take to combat bias against women in the workplace and keep it for yourself or show it a bit later. And they could just one thing you want to do to stop the perpetuation of bias against women in the workplace. And so what do you need to do after you've uncovered your own unconscious bias, or you start to notice the different biases that exist against women in the workplace? You become an ally. You probably also have seen and heard a lot about the word ally. And that's one thing I want to leave you with in this conversation. You need to become an ally. Women need a lot more allies along their journey, mostly at work, especially in the tech industry, but also in politics, it's the same, and it's also in society, it's the same. So who is an ally? An ally is someone who actively supports and advocates for individuals or groups that are underrepresented or face discrimination, marginalization, or exclusion. An ally uses their privilege, influence, and resources to stand in solidarity with others, challenge inequities, and promote inclusion. Allyship is an active word. You can't be an ally who just watches and never does anything. You can't be an ally who just make a comment on social media and off you go about your business. You really do need to actively participate and actively support the ones you see facing the discrimination that just does not sit well with you. And so, at work, what are some of the moments where you can bring allyship? In meetings, for example, in hiring panels, always when it's time to give feedback to colleagues and employees. When you see something, you say something. There is no other time where you can be an ally beside when you see something. And so how do you approach these moments? Because it can really be difficult if it's your first time, or if you're the only one in 100, or if you're the only one in 50 people. It can be really hard. And so what you need to do is you need to come to this space with the awareness first of your privilege, then bring authenticity to this conversation, proactivity, and an intersectional mindset. And so what is intersectionality? Again, this is also a topic that's being discussed at all levels of society. Even here in Germany and in the EU, we're starting to talk about intersection, because not only my gender will affect my experience at work, but my race can also affect my experience at work. My religion can affect my experience at work. My ability or disability can affect my experience at work, my sexual orientation. And we as human beings come with multitude of identities that shape who we are as a people, and they shape how we experience the world. and also shape how we are experiencing the working world. And this is very important because many companies and many countries have programs that aim to address different challenges. But most of the time, what they lack is an intersectional mindset and view or strategy. And so in order to succeed in this place is to understand that, yes, gender equality needs to be pushed forward, but how do we look at it in an intersectional lens? For example, I am a Black woman, I'm an immigrant in Germany, I'm also from the DRC, I'm a mom, I have children, I'm Christian, and many, many other things about me that determine how I experience the world. And the type of solution that might work for me at work might not maybe work for another person from another background. And so it makes the conversation or the strategy a bit difficult, but it is the best way to go about it. And most times also, it's also one of the reasons why people avoid this conversation, because they will say, who has enough time to do all of this, or who has enough time to create all the programs for all the many different people? And so my recommendation is always start somewhere. Yes, start with gender, and then dive deep into the intersectionality of gender and which every other criteria that you want to start with. And I like the tech industry because most companies have now what you call employee resource groups, and you will find actually employee resource group for every intersection on the screen, for example, and that's a great thing. So this slide came really quickly, but I also wanted to give you a little bit of tips again on how you can show allyship at work. If a colleague from a marginalized group is interrupted in a meeting, we see this a lot. What you need to say is, why this little thing is here. I'd love to hear Kaveh finish her thought or their thought. If someone's idea is being ignored or claimed by another, reinforce the contribution and say, great point, Kaveh. I believe you mentioned that earlier. Can you expand on it? And another one you can use is when you want to advocate for diverse facilitation or participation, you can say, let's rotate who leads meeting to ensure a different perspective. Another example that I like to use a lot, because the tech space is very, very, very diverse. And a lot of the time when we, for example, in Germany, we don't work only with native German speakers. And so sometimes it depends on which company you work at, they will say, oh yeah, you need to reach native level, language level in order for you to get a promotion. And what you need to say, if somebody is being pushed forward, but then they say they need to improve their native level or English or German skills in order to get a promotion, you need to step in as an ally and say, well, they've been working here for a long time and I don't see how their language skills or ability, their nativeness is contributing to writing code, especially when it comes to software engineer. You don't need to be a native German speaker to write code. I mean, unless when it comes to conversation, and even at that point, like intermediate is also okay. But there are those moments where people will mention things that are very minimal to actually the capability of the person that needs to get promoted in order to claim why they shouldn't be in a place or why they shouldn't get to what they need to get in the industry. And so, how do we accelerate action from here? It's really to understand that gender inequality is not a myth. There are thousands of data points to show us that the experience of women in society and in the workplace is not looking good, and the numbers are not great. It's not a myth. And the first thing we need to work on is eliminating our own biases and stereotypes, whether those are implicit or explicit. And then we need to become active allies. We can't just sit and watch. Well, if we care, we can't just be passive watchers. We need to get involved, get our hands dirty. And lastly, this is not a sprint, it is a marathon. We need to plan for it, we need to prepare for it, we need to drink water if we really want to finish the race. And it's a long, long, long journey for myself, for everybody else involved in this conversation. One thing we cannot not do is to give up, but continue. But we're gonna need to take care of our minds, of our bodies, and drink a lot of water, speak to therapists, and then continue the fight. And it's the same in Germany, in Africa, in the US, the conversation is the same. And so I'd love to encourage a lot of people watching to really stay on the path, because we do need women on this journey. So if there are questions, I don't know how we'll take them, but if there are no time for questions, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn and we can chat more. Thank you so much. QR code, I wasn't able to put here, but I'm Kaveh. If you just Google my name on LinkedIn, you will find it there. And thank you so much.
All right, Kaveh, thank you very much. I think that was quite an eye-opener for us to at least see those statistics on advanced countries like Germany and Sweden. I think some of that was truly not known to us. So thank you very much for sharing that, and all the other parameters that go into defining, I don't want to use the word prejudice, but stereotyping. And I do feel that we should get out of that zone if we accidentally step in. Thank you very much, Kaveh, for making us sensitive and aware of some of the realities that exist today and how we can try and bridge that. Next, we have a panel, and it's going to be divided in two parts. We're going to start with James. James, if we can have you on camera. Okay, so I think James should be joining. Hey, James, good to see you.
Hello.
Unmute as well. So great. I was just having a look at your profile. You've worked with digital with Ogilvy. You've done freelance fashion. You've also run Republic right from the ground up from 2019. You're typically an OG in the digital fashion space. So, we thought we'd divide the session into two parts. We can start with a 10-minute, about you, and then the three of us, that is Jens, me, and Costantino, have a collaborative showcase half an hour later. So we can start with you, James. You have 10 minutes. If you'd like to speak.
I've got a couple of slides. Do you want me to? Can I share my my slides with you? Let me
yes, you can.
give this a whirl. Does that work? Hopefully you can all see my slides. So I'm going to talk to you in a very quick 10 minutes, maybe a couple more, on avatar fashion and why it matters more today than ever before. For those of you that don't know who I am, so my name is James Gobert, and I head up a virtual fashion house, digital fashion house called Republic. We've been around since 2019, 2020, and we are essentially built purely for the gaming and metaverse space, working with brands and taking in real life physical products, physical garments, and turning them into digital wearables, skins, etc., with all the major gaming platforms, metaverse platforms. Our mission, and this hasn't changed from when we launched, is that we firmly believe that every organization, brand, and celebrity on the planet, certainly those with a real world presence, are going to need a virtual presence at some stage. The future of commerce is digital, and I want to talk about some numbers for you in a minute, especially around Gen Alpha. We focus at the moment really heavily on the gaming space and bridging that gap between brands and Gen Alpha, helping brands to unlock revenue opportunities, new revenue opportunities through the sale of skins and wearables, and ultimately looking to build brand love with a new, younger, broader, bigger generation than we've ever seen, and digital generation than we've ever seen before. Avatar fashion, for those of you that don't know, it's essentially, and we believe, the new form of digital identity. Ultimately, it's about how players and gamers, today's digital natives, express themselves, build status, and connect in virtual worlds, which is actually not too dissimilar to how fashion works in the real world. Yes, we buy clothing because it has a functional purpose, i.e. it keeps us warm in the winter or dry in the rain. But certainly when it comes to brands and the love and loyalty we have towards some of those, ultimately, when we're buying clothing, physical clothing, from an emotional sense, it's because we want to express ourselves, build status, and connect, but maybe more in the real world. So actually the kind of piece here is just really to say that there's a lot of similarities between virtual fashion and physical fashion and the emotions behind buying. I thought I'd strip it back a little bit to the raw basics here and discuss the sort of the anatomy of an avatar. Actually, it's a lot more than clothing. So when we think about avatar and we think of avatars and characters within games or the metaverse, we always think about clothing and, you know, shirts, pants, skirts, etc. But there's a whole bunch more things now that people are able to do, whether that's accessories, backpack, glasses, gloves, shoes, socks, you name it, even sort of down to sort of tattoos and kind of facial jewelry, etc. And even being able to change things like the shape of your head, torso, arms, legs, color of your skin, body parts, colors of your eyes, colors of your hair. The breadth and depth of that kind of avatar customization is huge, which I think Gen Alpha find incredibly refreshing in being able to express themselves and perhaps be somebody in the metaverse or in gaming that maybe they don't feel comfortable being in the real world. But again, super opportunities for customization. So why does all of this matter, and what's the kind of importance of avatar customization and avatar design, creation, etc.? So I've just got some things to highlight here. Gen Alpha. So the Gen Alpha are firstly still growing as a generation. They are the largest, due to population problems globally, they are the largest generation the planet has ever seen, over 2 billion members at the moment and growing. They are huge gamers, so they spend around 12 hours a day gaming, and they're ditching what I would class as traditional marketing methods or traditional channels such as social media, television, newspapers, radio. Don't listen to any of that, don't watch any of that, don't read any of that. So brands and marketeers are finding that traditional medium to reach that audience is not working. And you just have to look at the numbers. Fortnite, I think, are around 60 million users a day. Roblox, 90 million users a day. And they're spending money. $125 is what the average Gen Alpha spends on customizing their avatar, which, considering the oldest in that generation is around 14 years old, that's quite a lot of money. Needless to say, it's probably not their own, probably mum or dad's or nan's birthday cards, etc. But don't be fooled. They hold the purse strings in a household. If any of you live with any Gen Alphas, sort of 11, 12, 13, 14-year-olds, you know that if they want something, they normally get it. And they certainly have an influence over mum and dad and what they spend their money on. So, you know, this is definitely the generation to watch. The approach then for brands is, how do they tackle their clothing and communicating with this generation in gaming via avatars? And I've just pulled out a couple of points here that we think are incredibly important. The first one is around authentication. So copying and pasting real world designs doesn't work. Clothing, garments, accessories, etc. must be designed for gaming. But normally when we work with brands, they kind of like that because that gives them a bit of creative freedom in gaming in the metaverse that they maybe don't have in the real world. Collaboration is essential. So working with gaming developers, digital fashion experts like us, or even influencers, streamers, etc., to push the brand out there and amplify it within these games is incredibly key. Experiential fashion. So guess what? Gamers actually don't want to just buy clothing. They want to earn it, unlock it, experience fashion in ways in a virtual world that maybe you can't in the real world. So gamifying the entire process is equally important. And then also I've just put on here about consumer expectations. Gamers want fashion that's interactive, customizable, immersive, not just a static, plain, boring black t-shirt or white hoodie. Expectations are higher than that. I've just put in here just a brief video that I'm just going to play for you, just to show you. So we've got a virtual shopping mall in Roblox. So this has got real life brands. So we work with real world brands. So you'll recognize some of the names in here, and we take their real life products and stick them into our shopping mall that then retails those to gamers, etc. In an immersive, quite kind of engaging experience. So I'll just play this very briefly. It's only, I think, a minute long. So there you go, just a look at some of the brands that we represent within the gaming sphere. You could see in that quick walkthrough of some of those stores that the things you can do in the gaming world far outstrip anything you can do in the real world. Very difficult to have a skateboard ramp or a carousel rotating with horses on in a physical store, but in the gaming world, in the metaverse, there's the opportunity to really be a bit more experiential and create more of a kind of, I guess, kind of sensory experience almost, which is kind of what's expected, rather than just having racks of clothing that you'd get if you were to walk into a typical high street store. Ultimately, though, for us, entering gaming ultimately gives fashion brands access to the next generation of consumers, new revenue streams, deeper engagement, and a scalable, sustainable way to stay culturally relevant, which is incredibly important today, and ultimately build brand love. I'm old enough to remember life before e-commerce and online shopping. Back in the late 80s and 90s, there were lots of brands that didn't believe that was ever going to cotton on, and people weren't going to ever part with money on a credit card on a website. Who'd ever think that would work? What happened to those brands? They got left behind. Many of them ceased to exist. I think we're going to see the same here. Brands that are not embracing the metaverse, not embracing gaming, and using that to communicate, engage, and drive revenue from this new audience, this new growing consumer base, will get left behind, and they will, I believe, become obsolete. And there you go. That's us at a very high level, and my views on avatar fashion. And I think I'm well within 10 minutes, hopefully.
Yeah, I think you kept good time, James. Thank you very much, and appreciate you, keeping to time. We have with us also Jens and Costantino. So we're going to be doing, it's going to be me, Aditya Mani, Jens and Costantino. We're going to be presenting not just what our individual stories are about, we're also going to be talking about perhaps where the intersection could be. So, we've kept in touch over the months. We bring in a unique blend of, I would say, technology, fashion, and community. And Costantino brings in not just community from the designer's perspective, but also connecting with the audiences as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and have a quick presentation, which is going to show up. So I will have to look at Okay, I have to click on share sound. And let me know if you can see my screen. I'm assuming you can see my screen. Great. And do you still see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Aditya Mani. I'm the founder of Yologram Style, and we focus on avatar fashion play. Play could be everything, right from storytelling, activations in games, activation in metaverses, as well as activations inside, say, a virtual human, right? So you communicate with the virtual human either on screen or on the web. What about the fashion they're wearing, whether it's a doctor's white coat or a branded clothing out there? A little small snippet about our, I'm going to reduce the volume because I know it's going to get really loud, but this is the vision we have. We're kind of visualizing that, we are increasingly going to be more dependent on avatars. And whether or not we're going to be using these devices to connect, we are going to have 3D worlds where clothing is going to be present, that you're going to be able to see clothing in 2D, visualize it in 3D, visualize it in your brand ambassador. And from there on, go into a live activation. And the focus really is about going into these live activations. So here's an invitation to go into a concert, and then you go to the concert. The artist is wearing your favorite jacket, your friends are coming there as well. So that's really where the vision statement came from, and we decided to pick 4 areas. One is, of course, 3D fashion. So we're focusing on the tech and experiences. So on the tech side of it, we do live try-ons, both on the web as well as on app. We're looking at gaming activations because we're seeing that Gen Z is increasingly not just spending their attention in gaming, they're also making their friends and discovering new friends in gaming. So that's the new social universe that, what Facebook was for a generation older is what is for Gen Z. And it's really more doubling down in Gen Alpha. The amount of time they're spending in immersive experiences, if you can call gaming that, is really going up with time, especially including the kind of spending that they're doing. We also have a focus in agentic presence. What that means is we can connect this avatar to a AI system, and it could be either the AI system representing a brand, or it could be your AI, that could be your virtual answering machine. We've also done a couple of communication experiences. So this could be live or stored communication. And here are the use cases, not use cases, but some of the things we can do in 3D fashion, view in 3D view, see it on a celebrity, see it on yourself. We have the concept of stories. So stories really become like invitations to let you go into live activations. And we recently worked with a brand where she gave us a photograph of her store as an inspiration. And we actually created a virtual store for herself, which actually landed up being inspiration for her new store, which she landed up making. So, we just took inputs from her, created her store, and then that actually influenced her in creating her virtual store, her real store, which was the next version of her store. So this is my friend Pallavi. She's a fashion designer, and we did a couple of experiences for her in Bahrain. And this is just a small snippet of what she spoke to us and what we could recreate.
I've stuck to my core, and it's always been nature. I love flowers. I love the simplicity, yet the complex. And
So she goes ahead and talks about flowers and how floral, having these floral themes means so much to her. So we made sure that not just the activation that we showed on screen, and as well as the live try-ons that we have had for her show up, they even show up with floral themes. So, this is her virtual store that the avatar is walking in, and then the avatar goes into a virtual runway in addition to the physical runway. And the virtual runway is all about the floral experiences that she talks about. So we really tried to amplify what is it that she wanted to do, and then we used it for a use case for live calling, and we're actually building this. So if you heard her talk, she says, I like playing with petals, and then she said, can you create an app where two people communicate, and every time they express an emoticon, live petals fall. This is a phygital show, so this is a combination of physical and digital that we did in Bahrain for her. And here you can see, there's the live physical and digital happening at the same time. And we kind of blend the two together in creating these experiences.
Yolagram is an avatar fashion app where you can record and share immersive greetings.
So the idea was that every time you go into these virtual runways could really be about expression. And here we did an interview of her where she said that the two most important things that she sees her collection is either in underwater settings or in the clouds. And that's very difficult to do in a real physical runway, but we were able to do that for her both on the big screen as well as some of the activations that we created. So she wanted an NFT collection where people go underwater in an underwater game and collect these NFTs, which could be collected against discount coupons. So we actually built this experience for her where we created an underwater theme based on the input she gave us. We spoke about coral, she spoke about clownfish, and we even had this experience interactive where people could come in store and use this as well. So it was really interesting that the mind is not limited on what you could do with digital fashion. And I'm going to try to go as fast as I can. And when we move on to the topic of gaming activations, especially when we're talking about NFTs, this is what we did last year at the gaming convention in we had a situation where consumers would come up, they would get themselves photographed, we'd create avatars of them, and then we'd have these avatars, we'd have them play themselves as avatars. There's a touchscreen experience. There's someone else.
Inside a game, and you can click on run.
And this is the kind of experience where they were being captured in real time, like they're excited to see themselves, and then playing themselves inside the live game, doing themselves in the car. So all these are kind of activations which worked really well in malls and a deeper sense of engagement. So even if the consumer isn't totally into gaming, these are things that still work in in-store kind of experiences. Here is a brand, which is a streetwear brand called Left. We collaborated with him recently in Delhi to do the India Game Show in Delhi. So this is a little bit about his brand. This is the kind of activation that we built for him. So I'll just wait for the videos to load. So you see the very casual vibe that they have, the purple t-shirt, and we had a very big gaming influencer, gaming producer from
So this is the t-shirt?
And we had the same t-shirt featured. We had a famous Japanese game producer come, we created an avatar of them, put on the same t-shirt. And since he was a game producer, he wanted to test out if you could actually go live in the game. So that's him right there inside the game, wearing the same virtual t-shirt. And then we finally gifted him the same t-shirt. So it was really a collaboration between the fashion brand and the game producer, all of it happening in real time. And this is something which not just helps the fashion brand, it also helps the consumers in connecting better with it. Another very similar case, we had an influencer come up and he was super impressed with his avatar generated right then and there. This is a photograph of him pointing at his avatar. And here's another one of him this is this guy playing himself, and this is this guy playing himself. So these are really immersive experiences where they have a sense of connect when they see themselves. This is a kind of a interaction we've done with Jens, who's also present on the call. So his brand's called MetaSense. We digitized some of his products. So we digitized a black t-shirt that we had. We digitized all his gear in all 3 colors. Here's a white hoodie. So the black t-shirt you saw was showing up in 3D. The white hoodie is in AR. It's in augmented reality. So you could either spawn it from your phone or through your MetaQuest if you have one. And here's the the beige t-shirt, which I'm seeing in AR in my home. And here are really where the activations come in. So these are not the best activations because I just recorded them. But here's a live app where you can chat with a virtual AI wearing MetaSense. And so I ask him how he's doing, and then he says, I'm like a stone. I don't know.
I didn't expect to find someone talking to a stone today. It's surreal, really. Being stuck in this rock form.
So these are the, we can really link these avatars into any kind of AI system out there. This is the runner game with Jens's MetaSense in there. And this, of course, is the fighter game. The point we're trying to make is that we can do endless such experiences because these are portable avatars. And it really makes your brand more discoverable. At the same time, it creates a sense of engagement. Here's another floral kind of theme. I don't want to spend too much time because we are limited. Again, it was a floral theme that was an inspiration where she showed a book that she has, and she has all these various floral names that are activations. Then she also speaks about how she'd like to walk in the clouds. And this is where we came up with a different agentic use case where you could typically query an AI system to show you more details about the garment. So we created a virtual storefront. You can speak to the virtual storefront. You can say, show me this, show me that, and it'll keep spinning around and showing you the various 3D moves of that particular garment.
Hey, that's a nice dress. Can I see a little more detail? Wow, that looks really nice.
And last, of course, she speaks about how Paris is her inspiration. And, we created a virtual Paris for her, even though the conference and the exhibition was in Bahrain. We really brought all these experiences on large screens. So these are typically massive kind of 40-foot high, 100 feet wide experiences, which were truly immersive. But at the same time, they kind of communicated what is it that the brand spoke of. And I think it was really a learning for us because we got to understand what really means for the brand. And we also were very happy to know some of the feedback that we got both from the consumer as well as from some of the designers. Happy to be collaborating with both Jens and Costantino over the next year. We're hoping to bring Jens's fashion brand into some stores in India as well as some stores in Europe with gaming activations as well as some other activations, 3D activations. We want to not just be a 3D partner or a 3D channel for the brand, but we also want to be an engagement partner where you discover a new set of consumers out there. And the same with Costantino. I think he's got like a massive community that can engage with these experiences, but he also has a community that can create these experiences. So I'd open the floor to them, whoever wants to share first or speak first. I mean, I'll leave it up to you guys.
Maybe I can start talking a little bit because I'm like following what you have always already presented.
Please, Jens.
Of course, Aditya talked about the collaboration that we're going to do in Delhi next year. So I'll just talk a little bit about what's behind the MetaSense collection and what is the collaboration going to be about. Let me see if I'm in the right place. Yeah, so here I have the thing. Okay, sorry. So I'm a Danish fashion designer. I have worked in couture. I've had my brand in London Fashion Week. I've consulted for many big corporate brands. And I really am a designer who is liking to do what I call alchemy. I like to mix things that are both physical and digital. So this kind of training in traditional couture is really what fascinated me, you know, that you can work with the hands. And when I discovered before the pandemic how Clove 3D had been moving forward, it's really a place where you can start to imitate what you can do in the real world in the digital world. And I thought it's really the time to explore how this kind of intersection between the physical and the digital can be more like integrated in the daily life. Before I was interested into the digital fashion world, I have like a long career, was training couture in Paris. I've had my own brand in London Fashion Week, won many awards, and was sold in very conceptual stores. So I have a very good understanding of what physical luxury is, you know, and I was always been thinking about, it's not just about a golden logo, it is actually about something that has more of a conceptual approach. And I think when you can link the concept of thinking to a physical object, this is what I really want to see. How can we also do that in the digital world, you know? And I think this exploration of the digital world that imitates the physical world, it's a bit different to what other people are saying, but I think there's, of course, the people who wants to play other avatars and be other people in the digital world, but I also think there's a lot of people in the real world that wants to have the digital in the real world that can actually also connect them to the digital world. So I think there's different ways of approaching what this digital integration can be. And I do believe from the fashion brand's perspective, that can also be like the way, how can we use the digital as a creative tool? And this is what interests me the most at this point. So I talk about the physical fashion, you know, it's the mixing of the physical and the digital world. You know, physical is the concept of using technology to bridge the digital world with the physical world, with the purpose of providing a unique interactive experience for both users. And of course, the physical and digital is kind of opposites, but they're actually complementary and they belong together, you know. So I think on one side, you have the physical concepts, the design, the vision. And on the digital side, you can have the same translation into the two. And this is what really interests me, how you can translate the couture craftsmanship into what coders are doing and what Web3 designers are doing or what Clove 3D designers are doing. So this kind of tailoring in the physical world can actually inspire what you're doing in the digital world. So I really believe in that kind of interaction between the two. That can also allow for fantasy worlds, but it can also like allow people to really use the same skills in both worlds. So MetaSense, what is MetaSense? So it's actually a concept that I came up with for London Fashion Week a year ago, where I did like a digital experimentation in London Fashion Week, where I worked with a lot of digital designers. And through the working with the digital designers, I discovered the kind of expansion of the clothing, you know. And when you see the clothing in Clove 3D that are being expanded, you can kind of observe the kind of polygons. And I like this kind of distortion of what is the physical garment to give it like a digital reality. And this is really what I think can help a lot of adaptation of the metaverse that is recognizable for most people who are maybe not into the metaverse, but they actually can see that the digital experience of garments and objects can allow them to understand something different to the objects in the real world. So there's many approaches on how to integrate the digital in the world. I think with the bear winter, the NFT winter, you know, people are less into the metaverse now. They're more talking about AI. I think we will be getting back to how this digital world should be integrated, not separated. And I think this is what many people don't want to be in the metaverse. They want to be in the real world, but still having interactions with the digital in a way so that without realizing it can enter into this kind of space we call the metaverse space. So this is just an expansion of my concept that I discovered when I played with the Clove 3D concept. It became like an artistical concept that I wanted to expand more. This disintegration of the pattern pieces of the physical garment that becomes like a sculpture turning around. And I love this kind of expansion of the garment, you know. So when you look at the MetaSense collection, it is at the end like digital garments here we look at.
Oh, I just got a message that Jens had a technical issue. Costantino, if you want to take over. I was unsure if it was my net that crashed or, yeah, so Costantino.
Yeah, I was still the same. So yeah, I can share my screen.
Yes, you can, Costantino.
Okay. So let me know if you see my screen.
We do.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, okay. So thank you, Aditya and FMC. Hello, everybody. So glad being here among friends. A long time to speak in a conference since the beginning of January, actually. So anyway, I'm Costantino Rosselli. I'm the founder of The Netizens, which is an immersive experience community. So let me start with a story just to explain the purpose of this community. Back in 2024, a woman from our community asked if I could send her books about fashion in cinema and theater, so to inspire her as a digital fashion designer. And she told me that in her country, those books are banned. So for those who don't know me, I have a deep sensitivity to human rights and an allergy to anything that restricts freedom. So within 5 minutes, I uploaded 50 titles to a Google Drive and sent her the link. And that made me realize that I just broken a country's law, but I felt so good by doing this. And then realized that we may not have the power to change the establishment, but we have the power to ignore it. And somehow like this, our project Echo Born, which is a metaverse space aiming to give voice to women and any individuals worldwide who they shut them down in their physical locations. So it started as a library, sharing knowledge, but now we are working to turn it into an incubator, a lab, a remote job hub, and a digital empowerment space. In that way, we can everybody be present and create a great experience, because the metaverse is about to be present and breaking boundaries. And as we're breaking boundaries, we enable the impossible, because netizens do, this is what they do. So how is it working? Actually, the Echo project is a part of our vision, which is to build a netizens world, a metaverse, in a purpose to simulate future societies on the foundation of sustainability, diversity, and evolution. And to achieve this, we built it in 3 pillars: avatar economy, technology and purpose, and transmedia storytelling. And I will tell you how this works. So avatar economy is about to have avatars in a primary marketplace. Therefore, fashion is not anymore about outfits and accessories, but it's about characters, personalities, environments, and stories, which means that we should work collectively, combining skills with fluidity and flexibility that only networks and communities can do this. And that leads us to the technology and purpose. So instead of using creative technologies and AI tools to fool consumers selling crap in different wrap, we use it creating spaces that people can be present and create masterminds and build amazing stories. And we can do this now because everything is for free, without having a big budget and without to have huge studios behind us. We just need people with passion of making an impact and changing the status quo. The opportunities for creators inside the netizens world are endless. But a great project isn't just to build it. It's about to be shared across multiple platforms and immersing audiences in an evolving narrative. So here we are to speak about the transmedia storytelling, which connects everything. So how transmedia storytelling actually works? 20 years ago, stories were told in one direction. Brands or creators crafted a narrative, put humans at the center, and broadcasted in TV, radio, film, magazines. Audiences had the time to consume the full story through a single channel. Today, it's not working like that. Today, people consume fragments of a story across multiple channels. Instead of deep diving into a single narrative, they collect pieces of information from TikTok, YouTube, game, articles, blogging, or whatever. So you have to think the whole thing as a puzzle. Your audience doesn't get the whole picture in one place. They don't just gather information from different platforms. They interact with those information, with those pieces of information. They co-create. They're building their own personal and different experience than what you had in the beginning when you put your project out there. And then they share it with their communities. So an example of this is just my daughter, which is Generation Alpha. She knows everything about Squid Game, the characters, the costumes, their numbers, their names, their faces, what happened in the secrets behind the scenes, and how they get there. But she never actually watched the original story in the Netflix. She built the story together from different sources, from TikTok, YouTube, any social media, talking with her friends, bloggers, or whatever, and she started crafting her own narrative with her friends, not necessarily the one that's shared on Netflix in the TV series. So that's transmedia storytelling, and that's how we build the netizens world. So in short, because you told me that I have to speak only 5 minutes, in short, netizens is not just a company, it's a movement. It's an identity of change from industrial to metaverse era. It's an evolution from citizens to netizens. So while citizens is about countries, borders, or corporations, netizens is about people, communities, and experience. And while citizens in the physical world choose to play with bricks, building walls that isolate us, we, the netizens, choose to play with pixels, tearing down those walls and connecting everything and everyone. So the only question is, are you ready to become a netizen? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Costantino. I believe Jens had a technical issue. I'm not sure, Jens, if you want to just say a few words to...
Yeah, maybe I can finish everything because my laptop screen crashed, and then I understand maybe it's Spatial that's playing Squid Games. I don't know what it is, but anyway, I was worried my laptop was broken, but maybe it's not. And if it is, it is. That's life. We cannot control digital. Sometimes it controls us. But let me just go back and finish what I was kind of talking about. Where was my screen? Okay, where did it go? My messy desktop. Okay. Here it is, yeah. Yes, I was kind of talking about the digital world. No, this is not the right one, sorry. Okay, so where is it? No, I don't know where it is. Maybe it disappeared. But that's not the right one, so I'm not sure if I can. It should be that one. It's coming up just here. Yes, this is the one. Yeah, so this is where I was at the last time, talking about these kind of digital garments. So when I started to play with the digital garments, I kind of expanded the garments, playing with them in Clo 3D and having a way to kind of explore everything. And I do love this way that the digital kind of deconstructs the image of everything and that it gives you another reality. But this is what I really love about digital, that it can give you a glitch screen like my screen is doing right now. So hopefully it's not my screen that's broken. But again, here is an example of the exploration of these t-shirts, the MetaSense t-shirts, how they expanded, And I think by showing people how ordinary garments can become meta-ordinary, like becoming something that's really transcending us into a different realm, understanding things differently. I think that's another perspective of how the digital can really allow us to see things differently. It's like a different lens. It's a different perspective. It's a different way of seeing things. It's like a new verse. And this is what it is. You know, the metaverse is something that is beyond this reality, but it's still the reality. It's reflecting. You cannot have a meta reality without a real reality. And I think this kind of exploration of the expanded objects is really something that is part of my design thinking. And I do love this kind of the colored polygons that kind of floats around. So this is my project that I'm currently working on, how to use these glitches in a physical space. This is just some example of London Fashion Week, the collection that this digital collection is based on. This is physical collection with trench coat details put onto sweatshirt and hoodies. So it's quite pragmatic. It's pieces that people can wear. And these are the pieces we'll produce for the event we're going to do in Delhi. And yeah, so it's just deconstructing, reconstructing garments in the physical and in the digital. That is really a process to show how this reality can become a meta reality. And this is just the last experience of what the physical show was in London Fashion Week. Yeah, so this was my end of my presentation.
All right, thank you very much, Jens. And hopefully we have some great collaborations across the planet, looking to go multi-country. And we have the next speaker, Grace, with us. Thank you very much, Jens. Grace, we're gonna give you the floor because I know we're running a bit late, so you can go ahead and present.
All right, well, let me just put on my timer. And wow, this is a completely different topic. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to talk about DAOs. And I want to make this relevant for you guys so that it does have something to do with fashion. I mean, what does fashion have to do with DAOs? And so, you know, if you're going to DAO it, well, you want to DAO it right. So what does fashion and DAO have to do with another? Well, so we're going to do this through the lens of what if we wanted to put an online virtual either fashion show or singing show. Voting is obviously a possible part of these types of shows. So here we've got voting, which is what DAOs can kind of do. And then we've got fashion and entertainment where we might want to vote for the best outfit, or we have to make a picture, a selection. Oh, what dress should my avatar wear? Or what suit should I, or not much of anything at all in this case. So when you're thinking about a DAO, the first questions you need to ask yourself is, why do I want a DAO? What is the project? What problem am I solving? And so here we're talking about entertainment and getting people involved in singing. And also the important thing about these contests of singing contests or dancing contests online in the metaverse is for people to have fun and to be able to try out their talents in maybe a low risk situation. You know, we've all seen those auditions for the X Factor or something, which are incredibly embarrassing. This gives you the ability to even try out your talents in a metaverse where maybe it's not such a big risk. So for now, you can see this is why I'm doing the project. It's for fun. We're solving the problem of people being embarrassed to be on too big a stage before they're actually ready. And so you can get some idea of who it's for and why now. And so any of you who are considering a DAO, these are obvious questions. It doesn't have to be in the metaverse or the real world or whatever it is, but these are the key questions. Why am I doing this? Why do I need a DAO? And so I'm going to give you some reasons why you might need a DAO. Theoretically, it's because of democracy and fairness, and we're going to share decision-making, and we're going to share a treasury. So those are the theoretical, and it sounds good, honestly. We're going to have democracy. It's going to be fair how we choose the best fashion or how we're going to choose the best singer. We love democracy. So these are theoretical reasons. Does it really happen that way? Well, I don't know. You can look at some of my other materials on that. And here's some good reasons. One reason is it's fun. Voting is fun. Joke Race is one of the leaders in the area, and they do all kinds of contests. And it's called Joke Race. Like, it's a technology that literally leads with the word joke because that's what we're here for, fun. Another reason we see people using DAOs is they're raising funds on blockchain and they don't want to be legally liable. They're only going to be using crypto operations. If you want to use regular money or you know, apps outside of the metaverse, you're going to have a problem with DAOs because some people won't have access. So it should be crypto only. You want to make sure that there's not one individual who controls your treasury, for example. Again, with contests, or if you're talking about artists and royalties in this case, how do we make sure that nobody's cheating on the royalties? If so many votes come in or so many people pay for a particular piece of music, having no individual who's your CFO could be a good reason to use some sort of DAO technology so that automatically when the votes come in, they can be tallied properly, there's no corruption, and automatically when royalties come in or funds come in, they're split exactly the way you say. And we all know that in the music industries and the fashion industries and the art industries, a lot of times the artists get short shrift. So having an automated system, which is completely transparent, you could call it a DAO, you might call it something else, but DAO technology actually enables this kind of royalty splitting and this kind of transparency of how many votes did the people in our virtual imaginary, I'm not really running a talent show, but how many people in our talent show actually voted. You'll have no question about it, no corruption in the system. I mean, we've all sometimes wondered like that thing where people have to text in order to vote for somebody on TV or on an online show. Who's counting those texts? How do we know it's real? How do we know one person didn't send 100 of those votes? In the DAO, you'll know. And so for these types of contests or decisions, a DAO could be technology used. You might not even call it a DAO, but it's really good technology for running the kind of contest that I just invented, some sort of talent show. And then the other reason is for fundraising. When you create a token, I'm sure there's other speakers who've spoken about that, but creating a token is one of the ways of funding these types of projects. So great. And holding tokens, as you know, social tokens, other things. Now I'm going to go to the bad reasons to have a DAO. One is if you want to make a profit, DAOs make it harder. So if you want a shared treasury, that's the opposite of all the profits go to me because I'm the founder. So be very careful when you're constructing a DAO that you're making you know what your purpose is. Am I just here to get a lot of money? Maybe a DAO isn't for me. It could be, there's other ways to construct it. Another reason you don't need a DAO is if you're doxed. If any way we want to publish the names of everybody on our team with their real names, we might not need a DAO where you're already showing them who's in charge, where you're not embarrassed about what we're doing, or we're very proud to be the founders. Maybe a DAO isn't need. Also, if we want control. As soon as you start to have voting on the shared treasury, guess who doesn't have control anymore? And again, going back to the example about artists and recording artists, the recording companies don't have a DAO. They want all the money for themselves. They want to control. If they want to change your contract tomorrow, they change your contract tomorrow. Imagine if you had a royalties contract on the DAO and all of the artists who are in your system said, no, we want more royalties. You might lose control of the DAO. And that might be good if you're here for the artists. I mean, I know who's making the music and I know who's making the art, and I'm not sure I want to give the money to record companies or movie labels or whatever it is. So that could be great. The problem with that is when we're talking about some of these DAOs, again, you can design them differently. But when we're talking about a DAO, the people with the most tokens get the most votes. So you might just end up with a plutocracy, which for those of you who aren't familiar with this word, a plutocracy means the person with the most money always gets their way. And so you have to be very careful when you design your DAOs that it doesn't end up like I gave with this example. What about that person who has so much money that they send 100 texts in order to get the person who they want to be the champion, right? To get the most votes. So that's, if you've got a lot of money, maybe you can sway the votes. So if you don't want that, you need to be very careful about designing your DAO. And the other one is if you don't have a community. One of the biggest mistakes that crypto projects make is they start a DAO before they actually have a product and before they actually have a talent show. So imagine that you're doing this online singing show or dancing show that I was talking about, and you really don't have an audience yet. At the beginning, you're not going to have enough people to put in the votes. You need to have enough people to vote before you start saying, I'm going to make a DAO. All right, so now you decided I do want a DAO for my talent show. And I have to think about the membership levels. Who's there? So there's me and my team. We built this metaverse and we created the talent show and we recruited people. We're one kind of person and we're going to make certain decisions. Then there's the investors. Somebody gave us money for this and they might hold our tokens, and they're going to need a different type of decision-making power. I mean, I don't care whether the investors vote on who wins the talent show as long as they vote only once and they're not trying to sway, get their son to win the talent show because their son is the next superstar, right? So the investors need to have a different type of power. Then you've got the community, which is, oh, wait, in this case, we've got many community members. We have people who are competing in the talent show. Maybe we have judges. Maybe we don't have judges. That's, again, you can create another set of community members. And then finally, you've got the people who are going to watch this and vote on who was the best talent. And so those are a different type of participant and users. And maybe you've got some people holding the tokens because whatever, they had a good time last time. Maybe they won tokens the last time and they're holding on tokens. So it might be an artist and in this case, maybe you have people who are betting on who the winner is going to be. So you could have some sort of contest. Who do you think will win? You could have we don't call it betting in Web3. I apologize. It's not, you don't want to have gambling, but you could have prediction markets. We call that prediction markets. It's not betting. It's predicting what might happen in the talent show. So anyway, you could have all kinds of users. And as you can hear, different users care about different things. Different users have different members, have different things that they need to decide upon, and different areas of expertise. So who are your membership? This is the first thing you need to decide in your DAO. Are you going to have different types of memberships? And maybe you can issue an NFT that symbolizes what type of member you are. And that NFT could gate you into whatever your rights are within the DAO. It might be an NFT you purchase, or it might be you just give it to people when they enter. Up to you. All right, so DAOs are all about decisions, right? What decisions need to be made? In the talent show, we need to decide who wins. But we also need to decide what type of royalties they're going to be. Is it going to be a percentage of how much money people paid for voting? Where is the money coming from? Is it going to be a percentage of audience tickets? Is the winner going to get, how much is the winner going to get from the pool? Are they going to get all of the pool? Is it only one person wins? Is it ranked voting and even number 5 gets some type of prize for participating? Who decides? The judges, if we have judges, the people in the prediction markets, how much money are they going to get? So these are questions about allocation of funds. Another thing might be, what type of talent show do we run next month? Should we run a voice talent show? Should we run a dancing talent show? Should we run a fashion show? Should we run an art show? And so all of these decisions need to be made. And then what new feature do we add to the product itself? Those are all decisions that we made. And what's our strategy for next year? So for each type of decision, you have to decide which type of member should be part of that type of decision making. And then the final thing, which people really don't think about very much, is what is the normal way to do that? And again, in our talent show example, it's very normal for people to decide who wins, the audience to decide who wins. But it's a little bit weird for the audience to decide who gets the royalties. So how the royalties are split, you might have a proposal and DAO decision-making system that is run only by people who compete. And so if you're competing in one of the shows, then you can make votes about how the royalties will be split among you. Or if you've ever competed, you could say anybody who's ever competed. Or you could say the winners of the previous talent show, they get more votes than just the participants. You could do it any way you want. And again, that's a decision you would want to give to a certain type of member. So these are some examples of how to do that. And then what are the things that you want to keep for yourself in the core team? Prizes, fundraising. Maybe you want to have judges, so you want to vote for the judges. Maybe you want to vote for the core team, the people who will be setting up the next talent show. You're going to need code upgrades. In many DAOs, that is one of the things they vote on. In our talent show example, probably nobody cares about that. And so you might not have any control from the DAO of the code upgrades. You might have strategic meetings, where to allocate your marketing, any of these ideas. So you, as the core team, when you create your DAO, you want to be very careful about who gets to do what and who you want to, and who do you want to make those decisions. And you might want to keep a lot of those decisions for yourself. In many DAOs we've seen in the industry, the core team keeps to themselves a lot of the core decisions, and they really just give a very small pool to the DAO, and they call it a DAO, but in fact, the most important decisions never go to the public. And you can see that in the talent show example. I mean, it's fun, it's entertainment, but they don't have much decision-making power. By the way, in the talent show example, one of the things I didn't mention is who gets to compete. There might be talent shows where there's auditions. There might be talent shows where you have to upload a recording. There might be talent shows where anybody can compete, or a lottery. How do you compete? How does each talent show itself decide who the participants can be? Do you have to bring a certain number of fans to the show in order to get on stage? There's all kinds of ways that you could make that decision. So that's a decision, again, that is specific to our example. And whatever you're thinking about doing your DAO for, you're going to have specific examples. I mean, I'm not telling you to do a talent show. I'm just using it so that you'll understand, what do you mean when I ask these questions? And then how do you decide? So voting is fun for voting for your best person, but wait a second. How does voting work? We talk about voting, but even in this case, you might be able to rank your top 5, or you might just be able to vote for one. So even voting isn't one thing. Sometimes you'll do decision tables. So you might say, okay, you get to vote on who had the best costume. You might vote on who had the best voice, who had the best original content. So you might say to everybody, okay, you can rank everybody from 1 to 5 in these 3 categories: how they looked, how they sang, and the originality of their performance. And then everybody gives a ranking, and then you have a weighted decision table. All right, that's complicated for what we're doing, but if you were allocating funds to companies or some other more serious decision, you might use a decision table. I won't go through all of these in a matter of time, but sometimes you have a committee if you're deciding on next year's marketing strategy. Sometimes you might have sentiment analysis. This is a new form that we weren't even able to do 5 years ago. But right now, with large language models and with something called Polis, and you could actually have in your chat channel, it could be Discord, it could be Telegram, it could be whatever your chat channel is, you could actually have large language models or AI of some sort go over that and show what the most popular opinions are, or the consensus opinions based on what people said, not voting. It's completely automated, and it could come up with very original ways of thinking about decision making that just were never available in previous forms of democracy. I think this is a very highly unexplored area of what if we just took everything everybody was saying and then formed an opinion based on that. So there's all kinds of weighting ideas and all kinds of ways to make decisions that you do every day. I mean, if you work in a company, if you live in a family, if you belong to a club, we've all made many different decisions in many different ways. So those are some of the ideas. Oh, retroactive is also very interesting for a talent contest. You could say, I've got 100 points and I can allocate my 100 points or my $100 to the people who I felt deserved it the most. So you can spread that around. There's some tools for doing that. Retroactively allocating funds. And that's also connected to quadratic funding, which I won't go into. That's a lecture in of itself. These are all the tools. This is actually a little bit old. So again, I'm not going to go into all these tools. As you can see, once you've decided all those things that I told you above, then you start to look for what tools do I need in order to execute on my DAO dream. So just to bring it back and summarize, first of all, I'm not sure you need a DAO. You're going to ask that to yourself. Why do I need it? And then you want to go through and ask the questions I've asked here. What do I need in my project? How would it look in whatever I'm doing? And then what alternatives to voting could be good for my particular project? And that's me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Grace. Thanks for keeping on time. Extraordinary Kami, I think we have you next. Are you going to be presenting on Zoom? And I'm guessing you're present as an avatar. Okay, we're going to give him a couple of minutes to join. Okay, so we're waiting for Extraordinary Kami to join. Just giving him company with my avatar skin on in case I didn't want to freak him on with my camera feed.
I'm already inside the work.
Okay, so are you going to be presenting from Zoom? Are you going to be presenting from?
You there?
Okay, great.
When we want, I'm ready, I can start.
Yeah, you should start. The floor is yours.